Welcome everybody to today's stream. Hello. Good morning. Hope you all had a nice week. And let's get in with some raiding today. Hello. Hope you're all doing fine. We're having some Wing 1 shenanigans today. You can see in the top right. Not only that, also some Harvest Temple and Samarok, so we will see how that one goes. Always excited to see Samarok CM in action. It's always a beauty if someone flies into the spears. we will see. And we are playing Chronomancer, yes, the good old healed Alacrity Chronomancer. And I will also be the tank, I think. Let's see. So some different things that you might have seen in a long while on stream. So as always, if you have any questions, any comments, just let me know. Always happy to answer this here. And hopefully I can also do that. Yeah. How are you all? Do you enjoy the current like Guild Wars 2 atmosphere, or do you think there is like a little bit of a downtime? Nothing too much happening. I'm actually quite excited in the current time, just playing every day like for, I don't know, half an hour doing all the raid bounties. I think that's quite nice. Gets really me back into raiding daily. Let's check how much toughness I have though. So maybe we should... I'm really always scared here to take the Gravity Well. I have to be honest. Because the Gravity Well pulls in the Seekers as well, and that can be a bit painful, a bit. So, yeah, let's see. Let's play it like this. And... there we go. How much will I miss out if I skip them story-wise? Do you mean the raids in general? I would say like raids, if you skip raids, they are like, especially 1 to 4, or 1 to 5 rather, they have actually quite a lot of like story and atmosphere. But I think if you're like a story enjoyer, skipping them is probably like you miss out on a bit. But I can understand it if you really don't like try hard or like more harder content like usual, because it's not open world, it's harder to do. But nowadays it's actually also not too bad. It's not really that hard. So let's get some boons out for our allies. Tanking Veil Guardian nowadays is like it's not that challenging anymore, I have to be honest. I'm just standing here and waiting until my allies are doing all the damage. Tanking here is like in the first, when it came out, it was a bit challenging. Yeah, it was something unique. But now it is really like tanking is often like just standing still and don't doing anything else. Yeah. Season 2 and you mean the Living World? Yeah, Living World. Like Living World, I would say it's not too bad to skip it. It's of course, yeah, you miss some story pieces, and that can be a bit sad if you like want to hear every single piece of story. But I would personally say like it's not really like it's not breaking the enjoyment of the game. Especially season 1 and 2 are not like best storytelling in my opinion. It gets really good with like Heart of Thorns and season 3 and stuff. Are we doing mid tanking? No. So let's concentrate for a second. I don't want to wipe my group just by talking to chat too long. Okay, I didn't even need my more. That's good. It means that my allies have enough CC. There we go. Oh my god. I thought we phased it in time. It's fine. Greeting for the mantra cast. That's what you do as the tank. If you cannot greet for DPS, you greet for mantra casts. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. It's fine. Let's heal my allies here. There we go. Yeah, I think like skipping story in Guild Wars 2 is not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. I think maybe that's coming from me as someone that's not like too much into story personally. Yeah, sure, that is true. But I personally think like you can enjoy the story for what you like, the pieces of content that you like. And then if you have access to all of them at some point, you can then replay those or go back to those. I think personally that works very well. Maybe more here, just in case. Yes, we do. Yeah, I mean, it's a rather clean kill. It's a rather clean kill. Ray Guardian, CM. Yes, that's what we did, of course. Ray Guardian CM, if you haven't heard of it. There you go. Good job. Very nice. Harvest Temple. There you go. Yeah, exactly. Like story in the thing is like Guild Wars 2 story, I would personally say improved over the course of time. The original story in Guild Wars 2 is not my favorite. Yeah, so the core game story. I think it's not the best. After that, it improved. Season 1 storytelling is not perfect by any means, but I think it's better because it has more intriguing story. It has a bit more cutscenes and stuff like that, actual cutscenes. And then the second season is like getting better story instances personally for me, and then in the like when Heart of Thorns really dropped, that's when I would say that's like best or close to best storytelling in Guild Wars 2. So if you skip season 1 and 2 and go straight to Heart of Thorns, you get really good storytelling, and then season 3, 4 and Path of Fire specifically, I think probably had the best storytelling in my opinion. That is definitely like understandable. And if you like the game, at some point you might still want to purchase all the expansions, or like also the, how is it called, Living World season expansions rather. So that's why I think it's quite likely that you will at some point get all of them. But yeah, that's just how Guild Wars 2 is, in my opinion. I think they should streamline rather the how you purchase stuff. Like specifically expansions, but also Living World seasons, that a new player doesn't go into the game and actually wants to purchase something, but is like confused. What should I take? What is the thing that is for me right now the best? You can always watch my like DLC tier list, sure, but a new player might not know about my channel. Like they just might want to see it, play the game, want to check it out how it goes there. So I feel like they should make a mega bundle or something like that, or bundles in general for like all the expansions, and make it way cheaper than just all of them together. Like at least that's my opinion. Yeah, not sure if they will ever do that, but I think that I probably will. Have been watching most of your videos and you posted since. Nice, glad to hear that. Very good, very good. But yeah, I think like a mega bundle, like with all the Living World seasons and stuff like that, should be also like a lower price in a lot of cases. I don't know. That for me personally, I think like Arena Night misses out on a lot of people that want to purchase the whole like Guild Wars 2 experience with not having crazy good bundles. Like it's really like what expansion do I buy? Yeah, just the latest one, and then I have like, I don't know, $25 or something that I have to invest, and then I just get the latest one, but I want to have a bundle of like a couple of others. I don't know. I feel like they could make it more clear what is to purchase, how to get it. I don't know. That's just my opinion. What do you have the skin right now on weapons? Let's check. Let's double check. I have... it's Kralkatoric weapons. All the... How are they called? All the legendary Oreen skins with the Kralkatoric. Oh my god, we lost 3 people here. What the... That's insane. How did we lose 3 people to this attack? It's always the same. It's always the same attack, and we are going for challenge mode Summerrock after this. So what? Oh my god. It's fine. So it's Kralkatoric weapons, the pink ones from Oreen facet skins. Yeah. So I think they are fitting to Mesmer, but I have to be honest, I'm not a Fashion Wars guy. I play Guild Wars 2 for the combat and stuff. So I just have the skins and equip them when I see fit, but I never change them after that. So yeah, I have them since like since they came out pretty much on this character. Yeah, but I think they are nice. I think they are fitting. Not every class and every build fits them, but I feel like for Mesmer specifically, it's quite good. At least I like them. They might be a bit over the top with the flashiness though. Some people don't like that. That's understandable. So, sidestep. There we go. It's actually really fun to play like Chronomancer again. Like, a lot of people said, oh, Chronomancer is dead with all the nerfs to it, and especially like this one here with like 60-second cooldown on this attack. Oh my god, yeah, that's long. But I really feel like Heal Chronomancer is still extremely good, especially as Alacrity Heal. As Quickness Heal, I would rather go with Troubadour nowadays, I have to be honest. But with like Alacrity Heal, oh yes, I think it's still one of the best Alacrity Healers out there. It definitely is. And the thing is, Alacrity Heal is still to this day still one of the preferred healers. Yeah, a Quickness Heal, let's talk a bit about it. I think they should try to lower the gap in a lot of cases, because a lot of times Quickness DPS have higher numbers than Alacrity DPS, which is a little bit sad, because there is not, oh my god, oh, that was so close. But yeah, there should be no gap between Alacrity and Quickness DPS in my opinion, and then you will see that Quickness Heal will push out more value as well. But if you have currently Quick DPS higher benchmarks than you have as Alacrity DPS, then you will always prefer in like 99% of the cases to have an Alacrity healer and a Quickness DPS in pack groups, because the average DPS of a Quickness DPS is just higher than the average DPS of an Alacrity DPS, which is, I don't know why they did it like that. I really don't. I think it's nowadays getting better, but it's still not perfect. I still want to know what the reasoning is, why they decided that Alacrity DPS has slightly lower DPS in general. I don't see the reasoning. But yeah, as usual, if you have any questions, any comments, just let me know. Always happy to talk about it. Okay, we lost someone. How did they get feared? Not good. Provide some stability here. Nice. There we go. Very easy. Are you enjoying the new raid system with the new raid UI and the dailies and stuff like that? Are you engaging with that, or are you like the type of player that doesn't engage with it at all? Because I feel like I engage with raids more than before. Like, that is for me like almost on a daily basis I play raids, and that's good. I think that was for me a personal like positive about this patch. But I know not a lot of people are actually like into raids, or at least not that much. So I think is it like, how is the feeling in the chat? Let's ask it like that. How do you feel about this like UI and raid changes, the reward update to raids, maybe even the leaderboards? Maybe you're engaging with the leaderboards, you know, who knows? And I'm happy with it, with those changes. I think especially the rewards and daily changes, they make a lot of sense. I think that is awesome. But maybe that's just someone that already played the game mode quite a lot. Yeah. Is that the... I didn't even count. Is that the last phase or the second to last phase? I think it's something like that. Nice. Please, yeah. Good knockback there on the Melter. Very good, very good. Welcome, Joska. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Do you have a nice weekend so far? So, takes always a time to spawn here. We can pre-stack some boons, I guess. And we have to keep the stability up and running for our allies here. Nice. They don't have to necessarily avoid the shockwaves and stuff. Decent group. I still am surprised that like 3 people died to the attack. That's very surprising to me. What's your main class in Guild Wars 2? I don't really have a main class. I have 70 characters, and that's for a reason, because I cannot decide on which class to play. I'm not joking. I'm playing every day. I'm playing a different class. You know, you might see today on stream I play Chronomancer. Tomorrow or the next weeks I will maybe go to Ranger. I don't know. I'm swapping all the time. In PvE right now I'm playing a lot of like Elementalist and Mesmer. In competitive modes I'm playing Elementalist, and in World vs. World I like to play Necromancer, for example. There are so many like... Ooh, that looked really close. That's so close. I think we will die here. What are they doing? What are they doing? That's just insane. They were just standing, all of them there. We can just kill this guy and rally from them if everyone does it. I mean, I'm heal. Oh my god, it's crazy. Harvest Temple, hardest encounter raid boss ever. Nice, we got the rally though. Finally. It's actually insane. It is actually insane that the people here just don't know the mechanics or just ignore them. I don't know. It's really not hard. It really isn't. Okay, crazy, I've been maining my class since I started. I mean, that's completely fine, you know, everybody has a different playstyle. I just like to have like the options to always swap depending on what I actually feel like is what I enjoy, what I, you know, I don't want to be the guy that always plays the same thing. I want to learn more things. I want to have flexibility. I want to have like just having the option to swap stuff around, you know. Sometimes I feel like I want to play Mesmer, but sometimes I don't want to play Mesmer because it's like just a different play style. I played this game for so much, or I played it in the past more like it, and I want to just experience the game in different ways, even though it's the same encounter that I did like 100 times or more already. But it's at least a little bit different if I play a different build. So that's why I enjoy the game so much, because I have so much freedom to do so. Welcome, Nomixia. Welcome. How are you doing? Cooking up some nice solos again, I guess. My next class, I want to try Guardian. Oh yeah, that's a good choice. Guardian is probably one of the best all-round classes if you want to play in every single game mode, every single lead spec. Yeah, I think Guardian is one of the best ones to choose, for sure. Don't have stability now for my allies. Bit annoying. Another shockwave. I think we kill it now though. That's good. Bit scuffed, I have to be honest. I would have liked it a bit like cleaner here, but I guess we killed it. That's fine. Do we do next? What do we do next? Cooking some solo? Yeah, exactly. Nice, some duo as well. Sounds good. Interesting. We did it. But that was, I have to be honest, like we want to do Summer Rock CM after this, so I'm not sure if this group is actually like really, if I'm like convinced that we will get that, like if I'm confident with our capabilities of getting like a solo, or not solo, but a challenge mode Summer Rock. It's not hard, but this already was a bit scuffed, and Summer Rock needs a bit more, I don't know, communication maybe, who knows? Yeah. To be honest, like, I think it's completely fine, you know. Some people like to play the same character, same class, going with the class fantasy that they enjoy and sticking with it all the time. And I think that's completely fine. I have to be honest, I can fully understand that, like fully. But I also think that the game has way more content if you manage to play multiple classes and manage multiple builds and stuff like that, because then you have way more different things that you can do and still do the same content but play it a bit differently. Yeah, at least that's how I see it. Okay, so what do we have here? I guess that's fine. And you know, for me, I have, for example, the negative that if I play so many different characters and classes that I don't really have my inventory like fully, like all of them are like to the maximum. That's just so expensive. I don't have that. It's one of my long-term goals, but that's, for example, a drawback. Or the equipment template, build templates. That can be a bit annoying. Yeah, for sure. But I feel like in a lot of cases that you can like negate that. Oh my God, did I give them that? I think I might have in time. I'm talking too much, not giving too much, like. Okay, there we go, give CC. The most important part for the tank is that you should not move. That's like, if you're watching the stream here and you want to know how to play tank, one of the most important aspects of being the tank is to understand when to move and when not to move. Like, not moving is very, very good, because it leads to you being stationary and the boss being stationary as well. that means that in the long run, your team will thank you for that because they just have a standing golem to target. Very important. If you're the tank or if you're learning to tank, just don't move if you don't need to. Every single bit of movement is also affecting the boss. And that is annoying. Very annoying. If your allies have to slowly move out of the AoEs or recast stuff, really try to keep it standing still all the time. That's very important if you can make it work. Oh, let's get some healing out. You should also be a bit careful, of course, with the boon ranges. I want to provide the boons to my allies. Here we go, we did it. Yeah, I mean, that's also very easy boss, to be honest, but still. Learning tanking is not hard in Guild Wars 2, not at all. You just should know some mechanics. Some mechanics should be fine. Let's go in position again. Do you have some boons, hopefully in range? No, I should not be act, but it's fine. Anyway, the tank can get act. It's the only exception where tanking doesn't matter. Yeah, I tried a lot of quick play. I think in the beginning it was actually okay. The problem was now its quick play is most of the time players that are really new, and that's completely fine. But for a veteran like me, that can be a little bit frustrating at times. Just a little bit, because if you get old line scored, if you get KO, so Cunning Overlook, those take longer or have mechanics that are just more annoying to deal with if you have some new players getting targeted by it or just don't know how to deal with it. And that can be very frustrating because you get quick play Bone Skinner, it takes 2 minutes. If you do KO, it takes 20 minutes. I'm not joking, I had a KO where it was like 20 minutes in there. Because we had like 5 healers and it took for a long time. That is painful. That is very painful. So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit like how can you justify as a veteran to play quick play every week? And yeah, I guess you can do that for example if you like to get all the legendary insights and all the magnetite shots, I guess. But for me personally, in the first 2 weeks I played it quite often, and now I'm more like maybe on stream if I want to have some chaos here. But it's not something that I engage with regularly because it's just too training and not too like smooth, sadly. Yeah. Welcome everybody. Hope you had a nice day so far. Roles are random, experience of player is random. It gives some challenge different from a full boons group, for sure. It's definitely a completely different experience. And I'm not saying quick play is bad, not at all. I think it's actually a great feature for new players. But I think it is for veterans can be frustrating depending on what group you get into, what you want to achieve, what you expect from a group. That can be very challenging. Yeah. Exactly, you have to adapt and play differently and maybe have even to explain the mechanics. Maybe you have to change your build during a quick play. It's definitely something new and it has a different experience than going with a raid group that is just rushing through all the bosses, killing it in the first try. Thanks a lot, Suicide Dean, really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the Prime, hope you're enjoying the stream. But yeah, it's different. And I hope they introduce more encounters in quick play. For example, like Wing 4 bosses or Wing 1 bosses, like actual raids, actual normal raids in there instead of the old strike missions, so that we get more variety and also teach players a bit more how they function. Yes, I got the tank, very good. Sometimes it's a bit weird with the tanking, I have to be honest. Okay, we already lost 2 players. Impressive. That's a GG, I guess. Thanks for the content. Made my comeback so much smoother. Nice. Glad to hear that. Yeah, I hear a lot of people coming back into Guild Wars 2 in the last few, let's say, months, but also a lot of new players, and I really hope that my channel can help them get into the games a bit smoother, at least. And that's great to hear if that's really the case. I hope I can continue to do so. Glad you enjoy my content. And as usual, if you have any questions, just ask. I'm always happy to answer. I cannot promise you that I will actually know the answer, but I will try. So if you don't know the CM here, the CM is actually not that much more challenging. It's just I think it has a bit more health. And also it's like the spears are a bit more annoying to deal with in some cases. But other than that, it's not too bad. Do this, and why are there 2 people dead again? How? You know, it's you get knocked back and you get insta killed if you go into the spears, and it's just like jumping the shockwave. You don't even need stability for this. Of course it helps, that's why I have like a decent amount of stability skills here, but that's like, okay, questionable if you cannot jump the first shockwave. Came to Guild Wars 2 in summer, kept playing since. I think majority of things I learned is solely from your channel. Thanks, nice, glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. You know, I'd like to be some kind of channel that is for all types of players, but I'm really happy when I hear that new players actually learn something from my channel. That's perfect, because that means that I did something somewhat correct, I would say. Give them stability now, and maybe that helps. You never know. Well, I mean, I will move a bit, but I have no clue. I actually have no clue what... I will be like the first sacrifice here. Hopefully they... You have to move in a pattern like... Yeah, nice, good CC. I can... Nice, I get another tank. I like this. That's why I like to be the tank in this fight, because you can actually like influence it quite drastically. I just want to move the boss if not necessary, not that much. Let's see. Let's move it here. And jumps again. There we go. Just want to make the tanking pattern a bit like in like a U shape or something, if possible. Nice, we did it. Can I get it again? No, someone else got it. That's a bit scary, because you never know where they're moving. You never know. This group is not perfect in terms of like how they deal with this. Okay, I think it's fine. We might get the phase now without anyone dying before it, hopefully. Short question, is there a way to disable the minimap? Yes, you can go in the options and scroll down here, and then you can disable here the features that you want. Yeah, you can disable those things. And some of them also disable the minimap. Yeah. It might not be called minimap, I have not checked that, but you can disable it if you just go through all the settings and see which one is actually the minimap. Oh my god, don't kill me! What the fuck? What is going on? They just ignored me. They just said, yep, this is my friend. I don't want to be their friend. It's so mean. It's so mean. Crazy. Tried to build my first DPS, went with Condi Mirage. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm at 7k DPS. Yeah, I mean, Condi Mirage is not an easy build. It definitely is not an easy build. I mean, you can play Staff, and it's actually not that bad. It's quite easy. But if you play the Axe variant, that is a tough one. That is definitely a tough build to start playing. But if you enjoy it, go for it. Yeah, it's a really strong build, one of the highest DPS builds out there. If you do it correctly, you get over 50k DPS, and it's huge. It's of course very crazy good, but you have to invest a lot of time into learning it. So starting with 7k, it's not a big deal. Just slowly improve from there. It takes time. Didn't get the tank either. That's a little bit sad. I don't know what the group here is doing, to be honest. We have to move at some point here. Like, maybe I can get the tank after this, hopefully. So the tank is typically the person that is the most far away from the boss. So yeah, that's typically what you get. So I will try to move the boss here a bit, because you don't want to stand in the things here too much. So let's do that. Nice, at least it cleared the spears. That should be now completely fine, I would say. I will be again the sacrifice. Hopefully they have enough CC, but it looks quite decent, the CC output. Yeah, looks good. Let's go out. Yeah, we got the tank again. I like it. Now I can actually be like providing the healing if possible. It's a bit sad as Chronomancer, you don't have like the insanest amount of like ranged boons, so that can be a bit annoying. So the alacrity uptime might look a little bit like not perfect if you're like not standing on your party all the time, but it's fine. Should be fine. What do you think the highest DPS, low effort build is? It's definitely Mechanist. Mechanist, Rifle Mechanist is extremely low effort, and that is like highest DPS, 40k DPS as a power Rifle Mechanist is extremely like easy to reach, and that should be like in normal fights is very often the best DPS build as well. Oh my god, please, someone stand on me, my friend. Nice, they did it. There we go. I'm planning on getting Legendary Light Armor as well. I love all three, but recently played Amalgam solo build. None of the 3 light classes with this powerful solo. I think it depends a bit on the build. You know, some builds are really good, like you have an Immortal Scourge, you have an Immortal Catalyst, and I think they are really good. They are on the same level as Catalyst in a solo scenario, as Amalgam as a solo build. But you are right, Amalgam is very straightforward. You're just smashing your buttons and you will succeed. Yeah, it's not me again. I want to be the tank. It's fine. It's actually a rather like smooth run for that a lot of people like just got one shot by the first hit. Okay, let's try to get the tank here. We need a bit more CC. Did we lose someone with the CC? It's sad. I didn't get it. Okay, I mean at least I don't have to like GG then. Interesting. Yeah, I would say Catalyst, yeah. You can play solo Catalyst that is extremely strong as a light armor class as well as a solo build. Extremely strong. I mean, we have no mixer here in chat. You can like ask them. It's, yeah, you can play it as a solo build and you can solo Matthias without Emboldened there. Yeah, it's extremely good. Like, it's probably one of the best light armor class builds. But there are so many good ones. Like you can play Reaper very well as well. There are so many good ones. Light armor is very flexible, but yeah, it might not be for everybody. Nice. It's me this time. I can move to my allies. I think it's fine though. We did it. Not clean, but clean enough to kill. We like it. There we go. Very good. Very good. Yeah, welcome Wiz, welcome. Yeah, Celestial stats, that's a good point by this. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're light armor class. Celestial stats, put it on a class and you will probably have a decent solo build. It's like, there are like a couple of builds like Bladesworn, like Spellbreaker, like Dragon Hunter that I would not recommend with like Celestial, but almost every like class with Celestial works. So it's really like, if you like a specific armor class, a specific class, and specific put Celestial on, and you probably have a decent solo build. Maybe not a meta build, but a decent one. I mean, let's do a Forging Steel, you know, weekly Forging Steel. Let's go in. Hello. I found a simplified Condi Virtu in your video. Is it still up to date? Yes. It's 8. Yeah, it's older, but nothing changed for Virtuoso. It's exactly the same. So if you like this like playstyle and want to have a simplified build, yes, it is extremely good. It's still like just starting with this and going from there and going maybe improving over time and at some point going to the full-fledged meta rotation. Yeah, that's still up to date. Nothing changed there. Tried that one, but things don't die as fast, but definitely a skill issue. I would say it depends a bit, you know. Stuff dying very fast can be a skill issue, sure, but oftentimes it's also like dependent on what specific scenario in. So Catalyst can be a bit slower in the DPS than Amalgam, but it has in the end a higher number or a similar number as well. So it's always a bit dependent on how you use it and which encounters you've tackled. And it might also player preference. You know, some players like to play Engineer in your face. Some players like to play a ranged Elementalist build. That can be also your playstyle. That is a bit different. It doesn't mean that you're bad, it's just a different playstyle. So play what you like, you know, if you're more into Engineer, that's fine as well. I'm not saying it's bad to go for Engineer at all. You know? So this is now a raid, yeah. Funnily enough, this is now a raid and it provides you with Magnetite shards. Actually quite a big chunk of Magnetite shards, I have to be honest. So this is a very good farm of Magnetite shards if you want to get them. It's like, I don't know the exact number, but it gives you a huge chunk because you get Magnetite shards during the events already and then at the end boss. So you get quite a lot of them. And you get a legendary insight once per week. And then you can open the big chests in Eye of the North as well. So it's like, ooh, a lot of rewards for like 15 to 20 minutes, especially if you join a bit later like I did here with the pre-events already done. This is actually a decent like gold farm and magnetite shard farm now. Play what you like. Exactly. It's the best advice you can typically like get. Playing what you like is in the long run always better than playing a class that people recommended to you because it's good, because it's easy, because it's like currently meta. If you play what you like, there is very likely a build that is very good right now. And even if there isn't a crazy good build right now, which is highly unlikely, but if it is the case, you will still have more fun than forcing you on a build that you don't enjoy that much. I think that is very, very important to understand for a new player, that fun in this game keeps you playing. It's not a broken build. Yes, you can have fun playing a broken build, but if you don't have fun playing a broken build, you will probably not play the game for years. You will play the game if you like the game and if it's fun. So play the class and the class fantasy that you enjoy. You know, I started with Ranger, and that was one of the reasons why I didn't enjoy the game, because it was not the Ranger fantasy that I wanted. So it took me a while until I came back and played a different class and different playstyle, and then it clicked with me. It really needed a bit. So it's really important that you play what you actually enjoy playing and not stick with something that you don't like that much, or someone else told you it's extremely good, you have to play it. Yeah. Underwater DPS guide when? To be honest, I thought about it with Visions of Eternity when it came out. I know you mean it as a somewhat of a joke, and that's fair. Underwater content Guild Wars 2 is not the most important. Let's say it like that. But I think like Visions of Eternity being like more water centric, I thought about making underwater content. But the problem is, first of all, it didn't matter. Visions of Eternity has some water, but it doesn't have any underwater combat that much, at least. And second of all, it's very challenging to have a clear benchmark. Thanks a lot, Tomyan. Really appreciate it. Resub with the Prime. 5 months already. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your support. But, you know, you have the golem area. So you can just easily say, okay, the golem is like, you have to have the 4 million golem, and then you kill it. How long do you need? What's the DPS in this time? And that's very clear. But how do you test it for underwater? You could go in the Cursed Shore area and always kill the champion there. But that's then more like, how do you get boons? How do you like compare like fast clearing builds with builds that actually need support on top of the fast clear? So it's like very hard to measure what's a good build in underwater combat if you have almost no content that is actually being played underwater, or at least not very good in terms of comparability. So I fast decided to not actually do some kind of underwater DPS tier list or something like that. But it is very fun because some classes like Mesmer, like Reaper, or like Necromancer in general, they have insane attacks underwater. Like with the AoE Whirl attack, and the damage output on Spear underwater on Mesmer is huge. So some classes have crazy high DPS and you just never see it because it's just very, very strong. Some classes are a bit worse than others. Like I personally think like Engineer is not the best underwater spec because some of the attacks are just straight up disabled. Yeah, you cannot use them. It's like, for example, the mech is really like, yeah, it's a choke, to be honest, compared to the normal mech on land. So they are, underwater is really like, it's very split. Some things are really good, some things are not there, some things are really bad. It's yeah, you would have to do a lot of testing, and it would be a lot of time and effort put in. And I'm not even sure if a lot of people would actually watch that. You know, it would more be like a meme than actual like guidance for a lot of players, I would guess. But it's a fun concept. Maybe in the future. Who knows? Who knows? For some raid encounters, you need a Condi build. Any advice for lead spec? I mostly play power. I think like if you like to play, for example, Mechanist, you can play Power Mechanist and Condi Mechanist. Both of them are very easy in my opinion. And in a lot of cases, they cover you with both DPS sides very well. One of my favorite Condi build right now is Condi Spectre. I think Condi Spectre with Scepter specifically is extremely easy to play, is very good because it has a lot of range DPS while having stability for its party, having barrier, having a lot of CC. I really like Condi Spectre. but that's just my preference. I think every class is a good Condi build right now. It's just like some of them have more easy to get into ones, and some of them have ones that I would say, okay, that is not my recommendation to start with if you don't really enjoy the class fantasy. I'm seeing a lot of Rivals Spear, Troubadour, Chronos. Is that a support build? Yes. You can play Rivals Spear and it's a support build because Spear has actually very good CC and somewhat decent DPS as well. So that is typically what you see on like tryhard runs, and in general Rifle is support on Mesmer. So it's always you play Rifle on support Chronomance and support Troubadour. Even on support Mirage you play it if you really wanted to. Underwater low intensity elementalist build, yeah, I mean that is probably like specialized elements, you know, underwater. Yeah, let's cook something crazy. But like I said, I think it's for me as a content creator, it is really annoying to make a build underwater, because on land I can just go in the training area and say, okay, I now test with full boons, now I test without boons and stuff like that. But for underwater I cannot do that. There is no underwater training area. And that is very annoying. That is really annoying. And that's already puts it quite like on a low scale of to do. Yeah, because it's just not as fun, you know? There's one. I started as Elementalist, Tempest, which was a big mistake, then Berserker, then one button Mechanist, and now Guardian and Necro. I mean, I think the beauty of Guild Wars 2 is you have no limitations of classes. You can just play every class and you don't get punished. It's not like you need like years to get the best in slot gear. But I can totally understand it that your first class is not for you. I definitely had the same happen to me. Like, and it's definitely a bit of a pain, of course, in the beginning because you don't know which class you should pick. But don't worry, you can always come back. You know, you might not like Tempest, but you might like Viva a lot. It's just play what you like, and if you don't like it, come back at a later point, and maybe that changes a lot. That's how I would like give you the advice. Doesn't work for everybody though. Not 100% sure, but have you done or considered an add-on guide? I was thinking about trying something out, but hadn't had the time. Yeah, so I have add-on guides for Blish Hut, so that's why my mouse cursor is blue, for example. That's the Blish Hut add-on. And I have a guide for Arc DPS, which is here on the left and on the bottom here. That's the Arc DPS, so telling me how much DPS I do and how much the boons are up, and if I have the boon table here on the bottom. So this is I have guides about that. I don't have one video where I talk about all of them because already the Arc DPS guide is quite long and I wanted to split it in multiple things. You can find it all on my YouTube channel, or if you don't find it there, because it's a bit annoying to search on YouTube, you can always go to my website. I have a specific part on my website for new players, for setup, for example, add-ons and stuff like that, and you will find it there very easily without any ads stuff. Just exclamation mark websites in the Twitch chat, or scrolling down in the description for YouTube and Twitch stream. You will find my website link there. It's just, so to say, a database with like some written information about the important videos to watch. Yeah. It's a good challenge. It is a good challenge for sure. This, yeah. I think there might be an underwater golem in the seas area, but can you also adjust your boons there? I'm pretty sure you cannot. I'm pretty sure you cannot adjust your boons, and that's one of the things that is very important for a low intensity build, that you play in groups. Yeah. I'm a bit problematic with Guild Wars. I always come back and there's some recycled event that makes me feel like we are treated like hogs. Expected to farm an event and immediately burn out. How to make sense of it? I play the game and I play only parts of it that I have fun playing. So for example, there will be on Tuesday, there will be an event coming up that is called Chante Wilds, Return to Chante Wilds or something like that. And this event might be good, might be bad. We didn't have it before. And it lasts for 7 days. And if it's good, I will play it. If it's bad, I will not engage with it at all. Even if the rewards are decent, I don't care. I don't want to play an event that for me is not fun. So for me, it's always like, I don't engage with stuff that is not fun to me. Even if the rewards are decent or even really good. That's my main thing. So I play this game for fun. Yes, I know that is a mean thing to say because I have already so much stuff unlocked on this account. Sure. But even if you don't have that much stuff unlocked on your account, you should not force yourself to do fractals if you really hate fractals. I think that is not smart. There are so many other things that you can play. You should probably find something that is fun to you. And I definitely can understand that if there are some repetitive events that you don't like, just don't play them. And if it comes to the worst, just don't play Guild Wars 2 for a while. You can always come back. That's the beauty of this like horizontal progression in the game. But yeah, I feel you. Guild Wars 2 took me 3 attempts over 4 years until it clicked, and I played it more. Yeah, I mean, that's just the game. It's not really like something that clicks for everybody in the first like minutes. That is just how the game works. And I think that's a bit sad because we lose so many new players because they never come back. But yeah, I mean, for me it was the same. I needed 2 tries to come back. Yeah, 2 tries. Any advice how to get pretty quick MP on Soto? Doing the story gives you always good mastery points. And after that, doing the mastery insights is always a fast way. And other than that, you have to do the open world achievements to some extent. That's just sadly how it works. They are a bit better in this expansion, in Soto and stuff like that, in the 3 short, like 1 year expansions. Those are a bit easier to get the mastery points than in some older ones. But yeah, it can be a bit... It can be a bit rough for some players. You just have to be patient. I don't have any big advice. That is the mastery route that you should take. Yeah, just play the story, play the open world insights, and then you have to do some more events. That's typically what it is. Yeah. Yeah, always happy to help, Dean. Always happy to help. Maybe I'm weird, but having tried all classes, have gone back to Berserk and Vindicator. I mean, that's not weird. That's just like your opinion, you know. Some people like Berserker, some people don't like it, some people like Vindicator, some people don't. That's just how it is. Play what you like and you will have the fun. And like I said, I think the balance in Guild Wars 2, especially in PvE, is insanely good. Like there is not a single class that is bad. Not a single one. All of them have really good builds, like really good builds. So thanks, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, Yuda, really. Thanks a lot for the 5 gifted subs. Thanks a lot. Hope you're enjoying the stream. Thanks for the support. But yeah, what I was saying is like balancing Guild Wars 2 PvE right now is extremely good. And it doesn't matter. Just play the class that you really like the class fantasy of, and you will have a meta build. Multiple, maybe, probably, with this class. It really isn't. Yeah. Yeah, I think this. I think you're onto something. That seems the most plausible. Yes. Yeah. Since when do people play a game for fun? I don't know. I always did. I always did, and I will continue to do so. If Guild Wars 2 is not fun to me anymore because it's annoying or has some really weird mechanics that I need to do every day to keep up with something, I'm not playing it. That's just how it goes. I play the game for fun. Yeah. I hate fractals, love raids though. I mean, that's perfect. Then you play raids. I think right now playing raids is awesome. Like you have so much like stuff that you get from raids. It's really really rewarding to play raids now, and fractals have always been rewarding. So if you look for 10-person content instead of 5, raids it is. Yeah. The new warrior class, Conde Paragon. I've seen your 2 Ally, 2 Burden builds. Is it possible to make the same build in a different warrior profession? I think I have a low effort Spellbreaker build as well. It's a different build type though. Like the Conde Paragon build is really easy because it's a Conde build, and other warrior builds typically don't really have a low intensity version as Conde, because Spellbreaker and Bladestone are just not really Conde builds, and Berserker is just very spammy, so it's not really like that low intensity. So I would personally say Paragon is the prime example of how it can be, but in a lot of cases you can check out my Spellbreaker build and you will see it's also very easy. Like just like I said earlier, on my website you find all the builds that are up to date at least, and you will find the low intensity Spellbreaker build there as well. It's different, it's a power based build, it's also only 2 buttons or 3 buttons, so you can play that as well, but it's definitely not Conde. It's a bit of a different playstyle. Yeah. Yeah. But if you have any questions and if you might disagree with me, just let me know. I'm always like open for civilized debate and questions. I'm always open. So I might have some comments here that you might agree with, that you might not agree with. Just let me know. Always happy to talk about it. What was your main game before Guild Wars 2? So Guild Wars 2, you know, a little bit of a history lesson. Guild Wars 2 came out in 2012. I started playing in 2013, which was when I was still at school. I'm not that old, even though I might look very old. I'm not that old. So I started playing Guild Wars 2 in school. So I did not really have a main game before Guild Wars 2 came out, I have to be honest. Like the main game that I played before that, I can't really remember. I played on and off other games, but nothing like stuck that much as Guild Wars 2. It really was the first game that I invested like, let's say, over 1,000 hours in, was probably Guild Wars 2. And I think that's just how it went. You know, I to this day don't have played that many games over 1,000 hours. You can probably count on one hand. So yeah, that's just like my first real crazy invested game, I would say, probably. Yeah. Use hammer for most classes that can even play it if they're not meta, simply because I love the weapon type. I mean, that's also very good. I mean, hammer is not a bad weapon. It's like really good on Soul Beast, Untamed, and like Engineer in general. It's even good on Warrior right now. So yeah, I agree. I think hammer, if you like a weapon, go for it. It might not be always the optimal choice, but it's decent. Yeah. So what do we have? What do we find here? Let's clean the inventory. Oh my god, so much junk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did not play World of Warcraft. I have to be honest, I was too young to play it before Guild Wars 2, and it would have been, so to say, the alternative universe, where I did not start playing Guild Wars 2, but I started playing World of Warcraft. Then I would have been like completely different route and probably never touched Guild Wars 2, but it is how it is, and I played Guild Wars 2, yeah. Oh no, he just clicked the one ascended weapon. That's too bad. I feel you. Sadly, you cannot change that anymore. That's sad, but that's just how it goes, sadly. Yeah. Which armor type you recommend new players to start with? I would say you should start with the class that you like. The armor type doesn't really matter anymore. Previously, I would have always said in the beginning of the game, heavy armor types, that's where I would what I recommend the most, because it's like easy to avoid damage, because you have a lot of defensive stats, so you get like less damage in general. But nowadays, just play the class that you like. Every single class has defensive weapons and traits and stuff like that, and you all have really good looking skins in the game. Just play what you like. I really would say don't sweat too much about your first class, what you would decide there, because in the end you might switch anyway. Even if you think about it like for 2 weeks, you might still not get the perfect one, and you can switch all the time. Play what you like, what looks fun to you, and in the long run that's probably anyway the best choice. Playing what you like, and nothing is really bad or crazy good. It's always like switching around in anyway. Always switching. Yeah, Core Guardian, for example, is good with hammer. There are a lot of, like, the only class that I would say is a little bit less crazy fun and good with hammer is probably Revenant. Revenant has a conduit build in PvE with hammer that is decent, and you have in World vs. World a build with hammer that is decent in PvP, but it's not the meta pick weapon. I think hammer on Revenant is probably the worst hammer. Yeah. Maybe with Elementalist hammer, because it's just too PvP focused, but even then I would say it's not always the best one. Guild Wars 2 is a nice place to rest after you get tired from chasing progression in WoW. Nice to juggle back and forth. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Guild Wars 2 is not a game that you need to play as your main game. You can always come back to the game when you currently have a downtime in your main game, and I think that's beautiful for people that like that. It's for people that want to go try hard in Guild Wars 2 and expect like new raids every 2 months. That's just not really the case, so I can see why you struggle a bit to main this game as your main raiding game. Like other content creators typically struggle with, like, if they like raids in Guild Wars 2, it's really hard to only play Guild Wars 2 and only play raids. That's just, there is too little amount of them. But I feel like a lot of players play Guild Wars 2 because it is so casual friendly, and I think that's good. I really like that, even though I'm not per se a casual player. I still like it. Yeah. Is Ellie Hammer good outside of all of PvP? I would say Elementalist Hammer. The problem, I have even one here equipped. Elementalist Hammer is designed as a bruiser weapon. And that already is a weapon style that is in PvE not very favorable, you know? A bruiser weapon is always competitive modes focused, because if you have some defenses, blocks and stuff like that, that's already a good design for competitive modes. But at the same point, if you don't have a DPS attack instead of having the block attack, that often makes it less worthwhile to run in PvE, especially if it's not a support weapon. And Hammer does not have any support for its allies. The damage output is rather melee focused and not really high. That already puts it in a space where I don't really see it being used other than on Tempest. We had a Tempest build using it because this one gives you more crit chance, the fire one gives you more damage, the 3 skill. And that means that on Tempest you could make use out of that, but with the overloads, because the main damage did not come from the weapon, but from the overload. However, they nerfed it so much that it's not meta anymore. That's the problem. Elementalist weapons, they tend to overshoot like crazy, and then they nerf it, and then you go back to the ones that is like meta for years, like for example Scepter or Sword. There was a time where Hammer was a meta build, but they did not stick with it. Yeah. So what do we have here? Should we play some Spear Evoker? Against the Gale Shot. No, I think we're not playing Spear. I think we're playing Scepter. Even though, yeah, Spear would be fun, but I think like we're playing Scepter. We have a Core Necromancer as well. I really like Push. I really like Push. That's why I'm always queuing for Push. Yeah. Is there any class that is comparable to Bladezone in terms of the kit being unique in the sense of accumulating huge and dealing lots of damage in short windows with high potential? So I would say Soul Beast is one of those. It is not in a single hit. Soul Beast is, so to say, like a little bit of the other direction. You have like a lot of small multi-hits. But Soul Beast, in my opinion, is a class that is very skillful if you do it, and it has insane burst windows. So Bladezone is really good with bursting and phases and stuff like that, and the same goes for Soul Beast. It's not as like one hit and very satisfying in that regard, but it's very satisfying if you land your burst combo. You will be top of the charts in the DPS meter, even though the, like, so to say, like 4-minute DPS is not that high compared to other classes. It's more about the burst is so good that if you have a short-phased fight or if you have multiple phases in a fight, it becomes extremely valuable. So that's probably the closest here that I would see here. Yeah, is the Ritualist like the only meta build for Necro right now? Ritualist is extremely powerful, yeah. And that is a little bit sad because Ritualist is, so to say, so like... You have to contest this sadly here. I don't like it, but we have to. Where is my team going? That is a very good question, I have to be honest. I'm against 3 people here. I have to disengage this. A little bit sad. Why is... They are just pushing through. Okay. Not good. We will lose. Like, straight up, we will lose. Oh my god. Yeah, that's just straight up a loss. Oh my god, what is this? That's sad. That's actually sad. Not a good match, to be honest. Not a very good match to play this. And I had top damage as well. What? I did not even hit them most of the time. That's crazy. Just crazy. Yeah, Ritualist is just really oppressive right now. It's just a really good build in all game modes. Like DPS or quick DPS, even as a healer, it's good. Ritualist is really like, people don't play all the other necrospecs that much because Ritualist is so good. I think Harbinger and World vs. World is still good. We might play it later a bit for roaming and for surging, but in PvE specifically, Ritualist is extremely oppressive. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Warrior Rifle gameplay wise? And can I bring it to different game modes? So Rifle is a weapon that is, I would say, had the meme so to say. A lot of people played it for the meme, for the one-shot potential and stuff like that. But nowadays, it's actually in competitive modes a somewhat okay weapon. It's not a meme weapon anymore. I think it's a decent weapon. You can play it. It's not like a meta weapon in any game mode. But if you need range power DPS, I think it's decent. In PvE, I would say in a lot of cases, it's just inferior to a lot of other warrior weapons because it's not really like crazy good. But if you need a lot of range damage, yeah, for example, you have to split all the time, you have to do mechanics, it can be worthwhile running rifle on a warrior in PvE as well. I would not say it's like a meta pick, but it's okay, it's not horrible. Yeah, there are worse picks, definitely worse picks that you can make. So it's okay, yeah. I just quit WoW again after a couple of months. Been playing ever since it released. Oh, crazy. For classes, I can only recommend to take a look at all the builds. Some are already covered and pick the one that clicks for you. Yeah, exactly. I think you should always like look at, I even made a video showcasing only the classes, not really talking about their strengths, but only showcasing them, because I feel like a lot of times you have to like the look, you know? Some people like the look of a ranger in other games, but when you come to Guild Wars 2, maybe the ranger that we have here is not really what you expected it. So that is, in my opinion, quite important to understand for a new player, that you should pick the class that you like the look, the class fantasy, the gameplay of, rather than what it is actually filling in the meta, because the meta might change and how you play it. But if you don't like the look of it, that will not change. The look will stay the same. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, rifle is good on warrior. Like, I think, like, if you have a rifle in your inventory for some ranged fights, for something like that, I think it's not bad. It's not bad at all. I just think that you should not play in general like greatsword rifle and say, yup, that is my go-to weapon set that I have all the time, because that's, in my opinion, a little bit overkill. You probably can count on one hand when you really need the rifle to actually deal more damage than, I don't know, your XX set. But in my opinion, it's at least a decent option. Yeah, they really try to make all weapons somewhat viable in PvE. They still am not there, I have to really be honest, but I hope they will, like, we get another balance patch. I expect, or at least a preview, next month in April, I think, in like early April. I expect we get a preview end of March, early April. And I hope that we get some weapon buffs or some weapon reworks. That is my big hope. We will see though. I cannot make any promises because I have no clue what they are going for. But that is my big hope. And maybe like we get some more buffs to Rifle Warrior. Who knows? You know, we got it the last few months. Patches. So let's see if we get another one. Yeah. I always watch your video for the explanatory of each spec. I'm new in the game too, like 3 weeks old. I'm now playing Scourge for World vs. World Boonstrip and Ritualist for solo PvE. I mean, that's a good combination, yeah. I mean, the Scourge is always good in World vs. World, and Ritualist is like, doesn't matter if you're solo or in a group, it's extremely valuable. Like, it's tanky, it has good DPS, it has nice boons. It's just a really good kit. That's why a lot of people play it. We had the question before, and it's just like, you have utility, you have stability, you have even deflect, you have quickness, you have CC, you know, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're DPS, healer, offensive, supporter, it doesn't matter, you always have a really good reason to play a Ritualist in PvE, and yeah, it's just really good. So for new player, Ritualist right now is probably the Necromancer spec to start with in PvE. Yeah, see you, Kaiser. See you. I've deleted characters before because it did not like the look or wanted to play a different race. That I can understand. I'm not into fashion wars, yeah? I can tell you that much. But I started playing on, I think it was back then, Asura Elementalist, and I did not really enjoy it that much. Not necessarily because Elementalist was bad for me, it was more like I did not really enjoy the look of my character and stuff like that, and as soon as I swapped after like a year or something and played Elementalist again, but this time on a different race, it actually clicked way more. So this is definitely something that I can definitely feel. You should play not only the class that you like the look of and the sound of, but also the race. Even though the race does not have mechanical influence in almost all situations, but it can make your character look more like intriguing to you, more exciting, and then you enjoy it more to play it. For me, at least, it was the case. So definitely a good point, yeah. The fashion in your build videos is always on point. I mean, glad to hear that, you know. The thing is, I would consider myself as someone as a negative fashion enthusiast. So I'm just creating a character and then I equip fashion and then I never change it ever again. That's why I said I'm not a fashion enthusiast, because I know people that change it every day. Yeah, every single day they change their fashion. For me, it's the opposite. I change it once and then never again. So if the look is good, then yeah, I'm happy with it. And if the look is bad, I might change it to be somewhat good and then I never change it again. That's why I said I'm not really into fashion. But yeah, if you like the looks, good, very good. I mean, I like that. That's good. We're on the same page then. So what do we do here? Do we push far? Do we get there in time? Let's see. Yeah, exactly. I mean, chars are not for everybody. Some people really like it, some people don't. Oh, it's a conduit. We take those. The seed chaining. Oh, of course, they insta-interrupted it. So, let's concentrate here. Get stability, so that we don't get CC'd. There we go. CC chain this guy. I think we get the kill here now. Pretty sure. There we go. Good. I'm one of those people. I bought permanent hairstyle before I sent it gear. Oh my god, that's crazy. I mean, I don't have that, and that's the only permanent contract I think that I don't have. No, I think I also don't have the crafting station because I have the permanent bank access, so I don't really get value from that. But yeah, I think that is crazy to me that people are that invested into fashion, but I think it's completely fine. Everybody plays the game differently. I'm not judging here, I'm just saying it's crazy to me that someone would do that. But if that's what you like, sure. Conduit is not that good anymore. It's really sad. Like, I really like Conduit in PvE, PvP rather, as a build, Conduit specifically, but it's just like, it's just so weak. So let's get some CC hopefully going. CC chaining into DPSing. Nice, you got them. And the crit on the burning speed. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Let's get the kill. Because I want to have another 1-on-1. This is a rather like big stomp, to be honest, Mitch. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I didn't want to mention names here. I did not want to mention names. Exactly. Yeah. Would you consider making a tier list for weapons in general? I know you have made comprehensive analysis and it's extremely helpful, but it would be nice to see there are some sort of comparisons. So you mean, what is the best weapon if I would look at all the classes? So if I would look at all classes performance with a spear, what is the best like weapon compared to, is a spear better? Is like an, I don't know, is like an axe better? Do you mean that? Because that is like obviously interesting, but it's like very like subjective because, you know, for example, Dagger is right now really good for Elementalist in competitive modes, but if you don't play competitive modes, the weapon might be like complete garbage. No one plays Dagger nowadays in like the main hand other than a support Tempest maybe. In PvE that is. Not sure. It's an interesting idea. I'm not sure how to set it up though that I can get my points across. You know what I mean? Welcome Snowdrop, welcome. Long time no see. But glad that you're here, Talking about fashion, already changed the fashion of my ranger the third time just today. Holy moly, 3 times in a day. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, definitely not. Oh, we have someone coming in. We have to use the lead skill now. Nice, we get some damage out. Hopefully we can get the CC chain going. Nice, got some CC chain and a burst. Yep. And we have to dodge this. Don't want to let the decap through. Just want to make sure here. Go on the amalgam. It's not even amalgam. I thought it's an engineer with a grenade kit. It has to be an amalgam, but it's actually not. It's a scrapper. Interesting. Very interesting. I think that's fine. I think we win this. Just have to get the kill maybe before the Revenant respawns. Welcome, Mario. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing today? Ooh, there are a lot of people here now. A lot of people here. Tempest. And Core Necromancer. Okay. Have to dodge the Immobilize here. I don't want to get decapped. But there are still like now 2 people there. Probably a respawn coming with the Revenant as well. Let's get the heal. Guaranteed to cleanse all the conditions here. Hopefully that's good enough. I mean, the Revenant didn't come back, so I'm happy with that. Okay, I mean, we have to hold the cap here a bit. Spear is broken on almost every spec. Yeah, that's probably the answer. Spear on top of everything else. Yeah, I guess you're right there. It's just by design, you know, they want to sell the expansion. Chanterwalds. That's just how they designed it. Should we try to get on the node here? Yeah, we try. Maybe we get the burst on this guy here as well. Let's see. No, they have too much cleanses with the Tempest here. Maybe we can try to hold the cap here. Yeah, but I don't have enough damage to go through a support Tempest and the Scrapper. Even though the Scrapper is playing a weird build, I don't see me having enough damage here. Okay. And I don't have legendary armor? Just saying, exactly. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, everybody plays the game differently, and I don't judge. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. Who am I to judge in the first place? Just a random weird guy in the internet that plays way too much Guild Wars 2. And doesn't change their fashion. That's more like it. Yeah, there are so many people, and no one help. My teammate is not helping me. Okay, come on. We have to get the kill now. 3k hit. Holy moly. I'm playing Condi. It's not bad, not bad. Let's go for the decap. I'm deep into Final Fantasy XIV right now. Nice. Is it good right now? I have not heard anything about it right now. Is it good? I was too much into the Guild Wars 2 drama that is all abundant right now. I have to be honest. Is it like living up to the hype? Yeah. Spear is good for PvP? Yeah, Spear is quite good. It doesn't matter which class you pick. Elemental specifically, Spear. Yeah, it's good. Oh, this poor guy. Like, this guy got like 3 times interrupted just now. 4 times. Yeah, they don't want to fight me. That's a smart choice. Only judge Azura? Exactly. That makes sense. That makes sense. Is Hair roughly as balanced as Todd Evoker? Yeah, pretty much. Hair I might play some Hair Evoker in World vs. World roaming after this match. So Hair is really good. Like it's more like bursty, whereas this is more forgiving but a bit less bursty. I think it heavily depends on what kind of playstyle you like. Some people like to play more bruisery, then this is better. Some people like to play a bit more aggressive, and then the Hair is better. It heavily depends. I think all of them are fine. The only one that is a little bit lackluster, or 2 actually, the water one is like, water familiar evoker is just not really like that crazy good. And the fire one is just in competitive modes, it's a little bit weak. It's just like you rely too much on burning, and a single condition is often not enough to kill enemies. But yeah, I think the Todd and the Hair one are definitely good. definitely really good. Probably even meta, I have to be honest. Fashion tier list. I don't even know how I would do a fashion tier list. I would be intrigued to do one, you know, I'm into like tier list, obviously. I'm a tier list enjoyer, but how would you do a fashion tier list? How would that work? What kind of thing would you rate? Would you rate specific armor sets? Would you rate some kind of screenshots? What would you do? You know, I'm all up for it. If you give me some really good ideas and how to execute them most importantly, then I would do it. But I have no clue. I really don't know. I'm so far away from like fashion. I have no clue what's the best idea there. A skin tier list. I did a legendary skin tier list. I did do that, but there is not much sense to do another one. You know, I did the legendary weapon tier list already, all the skins for that one. We could do a legendary armor tier list, I guess, at some point. I could showcase even all of them in game as well, that's the good part, but armor is not as exciting, to be honest. I think legendary weapons have way more uniqueness to them than... I don't know if if I push 2 in the mid, then we will lose like all the nodes, so I would just stand here and hopefully get the 101 here against the Necromancer. You should count the CCs that I give here. Like it's actually absolutely disgusting. The fear was a bit annoying. There we go. It did it. It was not a really good like match, but it was surprisingly close for that we got a 3 cap in the beginning. How can I build this build still exists, Toddy Walker, when they nerfed it to the ground? Anti-Grav in PvP, it make me sick. Yeah, I don't know. I think this build is on the nerf list for sure. I mean, if that doesn't get nerfed here, I lose all my hope in the balance team. This is a disgustingly strong build, and they should nerf it, like without a doubt, without a doubt. How protective is the armor against weapons or weather? that would be an interesting way to look at it for sure. So let's play some Necromancer. I wanted to showcase some Harbinger. You know, people always ask Ritualist is the only good one, but Harbinger is also good. Let's play some Harbinger. And let's see what we can do, what we can showcase here. Dawntrail had a rocky start, not gonna lie, since it was basically a copy of the Soto situation, new story after years and years. But unlike Soto, the post patches have been really good. I mean, that is, to be honest, that is like making or breaking an expansion. If like the post patches, it's actually living up to it. I have to be honest, if the Guild Wars 2 had the same thing, like the post patches would actually be like really good. People would have said Soto, Chandlerwalds would have been really good, but especially Chandlerwalds had so rough like patches after. That's really hurt its reputation, and if Dawntrail does it better, perfect, congrats to them. Maybe I have to check it out at some point as well. I just don't know if I want to invest that much time, because it's after all a vertical progression game, so you would have to invest quite a lot of time to get best in slot gear and maximum level, and there's a lot of story in Final Fantasy, so that might also not be for me. Ooh, player. Oh, come here, come here. I can kill them, hopefully. It's an amalgam. That should be a decent matchup. Oh my god. That was... How did they knock me back? That's crazy. Was that a shield knock? Must have been a shield knock or something. Oh, now they want to fight me. Okay, that's good. I mean, you will not win this. You will not win this. This is not a matchup that you want to take. Because they are Condi, I have transfers, I have way more healing. Not a good matchup for them. Okay, let's lose the elite skill. Let's go. There we go. There we go. Don't nerf Todd Evoker? Yeah, I think a lot of people either like it a lot or people don't really hate it. So I'm pretty sure they will nerf it because it's just too... it spams the CC too much, you know? It needs to be like a bit nerfed in the CC spam, to be honest. Yes, I'm from Germany. I'm from Germany. I'm from south part of Germany. That is correct. You heard correctly. What build instead do you run in World vs. World as a Harbinger? You either run full Demolisher if you run Power Harbinger, or you run Celestial. I'm currently running Celestial because I like to be a bit more, so to say, on the mix of stats. I think Harbinger with Demolisher is good, but in the current meta, if you face, for example, a Luminary, that can be a bit annoying. I like to have a bit more defenses as well, so I like to have this with Celestial setup for outnumbered situations. But it's more preference. Both of them work, Celestial or Demolisher. Those two are the best options, I would say. Tier lists of all the tier lists? Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, if I would not do it as a joke, I would actually rate them in terms of how good they are or how helpful they are for new players. So I think that's not too unrealistic to do at some point, for sure. The fact that you can't do endgame in Final Fantasy XIV unless you have survived through 500 hours of geopolitical bullshit story is horrendous. Yeah, that's why I did not really play it. I played it a bit, I have to be honest, I played it a bit, but never to the endgame, because it's just, it's for me as someone that enjoys gameplay and is not that much into story. Yes, I know they have a skip, so you can skip the story and go to the endgame. But at the same point, it's like, you skip the part that is selling the game for a lot of people and you go to the end game. I'm not even sure if that's like doing a justice to play the game then in the first place. So maybe at some point, but I can definitely see this as a negative for me, having so much story to go through, for sure. I prefer OP Fresh Air Evoker than the stupid thing. Yeah, I agree. I think Fresh Air Evoker is more active and has more potential to get one shot as the Todd Evoker, because the Todd Evoker just does not get punished by mistakes that easily. I agree. I agree. Yeah. I don't know. I think like the next balance patch for me, they didn't have anything said about it yet, but I expect it to be end of, like, that we get some news about the balance patch end of March or beginning of April. And my prediction is that we get some heavy nerfs to Divisions of Eternity specs like Evoker specifically in competitive modes, and also like Conduit, Paragon, Luminary. Those seem to be on the list as well, because I cannot see them having Visions of Eternity specs like all the time being top tier. I said it for the last two patches. I know that they should nerf them, but I still think they are extremely obnoxious and really like too powerful in my opinion in competitive modes. But who knows? Maybe that's what they want, you know. Spear did not get nerfed for the most part either, you know. Spear is still extremely good in all game modes for all classes almost. So it's quite likely that they might keep it as well, the same for the classes. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You will get the wrath of the community. You feel the wrath of the community if you skip the story. That's definitely something that, you know, if I would start playing a game, I would try to play the game for what its strengths are. I don't like playing a game that I know the strength is something and I ignore the strength. I think that's not fair. You know, I want to play the game and maybe that it proves me that there is a reason to have good story in a game. Maybe that's why I like the game afterwards, after playing it. But right now, I just don't have the energy and time to listening to 100 chat boxes per session. That's just not what I enjoy. I like to have some activity, like movement. I like to have like a lot of agency and move around and press buttons and stuff. I don't want to sit there and watch like a half movie. That's not really what I enjoy right now. Maybe that will change, but right now that's why I don't play it. Even though it's surprisingly like deep in content, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm playing currently Condi, and that's why I'm running pistol with a torch and a staff. Yes, that is currently Condi with Celestial. Yes. It's I would say my go-to necromancer build for roaming right now, just because it is more I personally like it in outnumbered situations a bit more because it can really like swing the fight with landing an elite elixir into like a nice condi transfer or something, and then they might even die even if they're outnumbered, or outnumbering me rather. So I think that's the fun aspect here. In my opinion, a year ago I said 4th elite spec specialization for all professions would not be a good idea. Now we have a 4th, and I think it's okay. Would you think a 5th elite spec for all professions would be a good idea? I would have agreed with you that I think a 4th elite spec is not good because it's just hard to balance. And I still think it is hard to balance. And I think at this point they said ArenaNet as a company doesn't really care that much if things are broken in a good way. They just care if things are broken in a bad way. And I would say because of this that they said, nah, it doesn't matter if we reach 50k benchmarks in PvE now, or if the healers provide all the boons permanently. They don't care anymore. Then I think now it's not a big deal if they would add another expansion with another elite spec, like for every class. I think that is now not a negative anymore, because it's like it's just so broken everything that at this point they can just add something that is also broken. It doesn't really matter, at least in my opinion. So I think at least if the player base has fun, why not add something more? You know, that's my thing here. I have to be honest, I'm not sure if they will do. For me, I think Visions of Eternity looks like an expansion that is like maybe the last expansion for Guild Wars 2. Maybe we get another one, but we don't have any information about it yet, so I don't know. I don't see an expansion this year. That is the only thing that I can almost guarantee you. If there would be an expansion this year, they would already have announced it. So that's my point, and I think elite specs are not coming this year, and probably I don't see them actually coming ever, in my opinion. Yeah. But I would say it's not bad for the game if they would add another one. What's your favorite game mode? PvP, World vs. World, PvE? I think it's always about mixing it up. You know, if I would only play World vs. World, I would get bored. If I would only play PvE, I would get bored. I like to mix it up. You know, I play one PvP match or two or something like that per day, depending on the dailies. I like to... Oh, we have a Reaper. Is it a Power Reaper? It looks like it. The Greatsword, okay. Interesting. Okay, I mean, we should get the kill now. They don't have any Shroud left anymore. It's crazy to me in World vs. World how much Power Reaper, how much Shroud they have. It's crazy how easy they can resustain their Shroud. It's absolutely insane in World vs. World how easy that is. Dodging the elite, nice, I like it. Got them. Yeah, Power Reaper, surprisingly good 101. I don't think they should have played, or I should have taken that long to kill them though. Yeah, I would say if I would only play a single game mode, I would play PvE probably, because it has the most flexibility. You can play raids, fractals, open world. There are so many different things in World vs. World and PvP. It's a little bit less flexible, but I like to play all of them. I don't really have a single game mode that is like my absolute favorite one. Okay. Be careful a bit. Because the Reaper might come back as well. And then we have a 1v2 here. Is it a Power Virtuoso, I think? I mean, I got the cap. Where did the Virtuoso? Oh, they died there. Okay. I want a new class. I would like a new class as well. I have to be honest, I think that's even more unlikely than getting a new elite spec for every class. Just because a new class needs a lot of effort into the development up front, and it might lead to new players or players getting to be forced to play a new character, whereas a new elite spec is for everybody, even if you don't want a new character. So I think it's the it's even more unlikely. You know, elite specs are for every player. Every player can enjoy the elite specs if they purchase Visions of Eternity. It doesn't matter which class they play. A new class would have the issue that you have to create a new character. And not a lot of players, or there would be a big amount of players that is actually not into that. That's the main problem there. I want new weapons and rework on existing weapons. I'm all with you. I think like weapon reworks, I would be more interested than getting like a new class or something. Like reworking underused weapons or weapons that are just not living up to the fantasy that much anymore. Staff comes to mind on Elementalist. Like maybe even Greatsword on Warrior comes to mind. There are so many things that they could rework that make the class feel more fresh than it currently is. Yeah, I definitely see that, yeah. Monk? Yeah, maybe a monk class. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, always happy to hear that, Marcel. Always happy that you enjoy my content, yeah? You're playing gun, and what's the second weapon? So it's a torch. I'm playing pistol and torch with a staff. So this is a very old school common setup. It's still extremely strong. Staff for defenses and pistol and torch for offense and CC. Those are extremely, like, ever since Harbinger came out, you played something like that since Soto. Yeah, because torch is a scorch weapon. But since Soto you played exactly that. So what do we have here? Do we have here some Zerg action, or is nothing going on? We will see. New profession, martial artist. Core traits, punches, kicks, grapples, elite spec, kickboxing, wrestler, jiu-jitsu, capoeira. Yeah, I mean, I would be up for that. I think, I'm not sure if it fits the Guild Wars theme that much. You know, maybe because all classes have some kind of lore behind them, or elite specs to some extent. But I would be up for it. I think that's awesome. But how would you handle weapons, you know? Would you equip weapons as just stat sticks and you would not really use them? That would be weird. Or would you not have access to weapons? How would that work? Because a martial artist typically doesn't use like a greatsword, or like that would be like, other than that, everything else would be weird if you like not use your fists or something. I don't know. I think it's an interesting concept, but I don't see it being like realistically implemented easily in this game. Maybe you have an idea, but like using weapons is quite important for the stats, you know. This weapon provides me with sigils, the stats, and the weapon strength. If I unequip this and just use my Harbinger auto attack, you will see the attacks do way less damage because I lose my weapon strength. I don't know, maybe Monk, something like that, who knows? Yeah. How good is Condi Mech? Spear for raids? Extremely good. As a DPS build, extremely good. Like one of the best Condi DPS builds right now. I think it reaches 47k DPS or something and is very easy to play. Yeah, definitely extremely valuable pick. If you like Mechanist, go for that one. Yeah. Can just recommend it. Yeah. Class lore is easy, they're trained by punching horses, which is why we don't have any more horses around. I mean, yeah, I guess. And the thing is, I think at this point they don't care that much about the lore anymore. If the class would actually make sense in terms of just what people want, they will introduce it. Yeah, like I don't really see the lore of all the classes right now that we got with Visions of Eternity being that important. Like, it's not that important in my opinion. They just made a class that is fun. People wanted the Bard and they got the Troubadour. Yeah, so I don't think they made it because it's fitting to the lore. It's more like people wanted it. Okay, let's get a 101. What do we have here? Some kind of Revenant Herald, actually. And, okay. They interrupted me. No, stop it. Oh my god. Of course it's a support. Of course they have a support. Yeah, they are fighting a Roma with a support. Yeah, classic. Oh, the immobilize. I wanted to do the juke, but the immobilize killed me there. Crazy. Outplayed here. Very outplayed. That's what we like. Flying sigil that gives stats. Plot twist, add untamed to every unarmed to every class. Ooh. Unarmed to every class. Now it's getting interesting. Now it's getting spicy. You know, 50 elite spec is unarmed for every class, you know. So you would get, for example, Elementalist would be some kind of battle mage or something that uses fists and elemental combos. And then you have like, I don't know, warrior gets martial artist and guardian gets monk or something. That would be a plot twist. Like, holy moly. I would like that. Yeah. I don't see it, but I would like that, yeah. Which legendary gear do you recommend that is the fastest to get? Definitely the legendary amulet. Like here the legendary amulet, prismatic regalia, or the fractal gloves. Those are extremely good to get. To be honest, if they add fist weapons, not just the bare fists, it would be kind of cool. Yeah, if they just add another weapon like that, maybe, yeah. But like I said, I think adding a completely new weapon is out of scope. I think that needs a lot of effort. They need to have skins for that. They need to have like implementation for every class to use it. I think, and it has to fit also in the balance of the class. I don't know. I think that is very, very challenging. But who knows, you know, elite specs are also challenging to some extent. Oh, I thought I timed it, didn't time it. What's the cheapest way to make research notes? I have a video on that. The cheapest way of doing it is always changing. It's not a single one that is always the same. I have a video on that. What is the easiest? What is the fastest? It's on my YouTube channel. You can find it there. Something called Research Notes Guide. Very straightforward. Stealthing Gale Shot. Hence, hopefully we can get the kill here. Nice, interrupted the dash. And we have an... I hate Deadeyes. It's the worst class to play against. I really do. It's so annoying. So annoying. Maybe a few different shield types would be dope. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there are so many options that they could do, but I still have to be honest, I don't see it. I don't see it oftentimes, because the problem for me is that I see is that Guild Wars 2 has a lot of things already covered. You know, look at the spears. Spears are oftentimes a weapon that already exists, but power crap. Yeah, for example, you have, what is a good example? Like Greatsword on Mesmer is a good ranged power DPS option. And now Spear is just a better AoE melee based power option. If you add another weapon, what kind of slot would it fill that is different than the ones before without being just better? And the same goes for adding more shields, adding for fist weapons. I think that is very challenging to make work in that case. Yeah, so to make every single piece of weapon be relevant at least sometime. I think that's really challenging. The same goes for lead specs to some extent as well. No weapons, no skins, exactly. I kind of want Mesmer Bow. Yeah, I would be interested in that as well. Nice, we get a 1-on-1 against the Reaper. Yeah, I think like Bow on Mesmer would be very interesting. I'm not sure though if they actually have plans for that, because that would be a ranged option. Oh, we have now they are back. Almost killed you in a 1v3, my friend. So where is the guy? There is the Deadeye. Classic Deadeye Enjoyer. Classic Deadeye Enjoyer. Yeah, I don't know. This is not a very fun roaming session, to be honest. Rifle Elementalist. Yeah, I mean, it could also, like, for Greatsword Elementalist or Longbow Elementalist, people had so many hopes for it. I'm not sure if we will ever get any of those, to be honest. Greatsword Elementalist, every skill is 100 blades with different colors. Yeah, exactly, you know. I don't know. I have no clue what we will get. A Blue Luminary, how would I kill a Deadeye? In World vs. World, I think if you play against good Deadeyes, you probably will not kill them. The same goes for me as a Harbinger. It's just, it doesn't really, like, it doesn't work. The problem is they are mobile, they have stealth, they have range. If you're melee build, you struggle against them. You might survive or might kite them, but they will not be killed by you because they can just disengage. That's just Deadeye and Thieves in a nutshell. Sadly, yeah. Yeah, I think the resources are definitely spread thin right now. I don't see ArenaNet pushing out new elite specs or new weapons like they did in the past. I think that is just unlikely. I don't know. I don't see it. Like, maybe we get one new weapon for all classes, but that's already extremely a lot of effort. I don't see it. I don't know what the next expansion, if there is another one, will bring. With the current resources, the last patch was a quarterly patch and it was not the biggest one for sure. I don't really know what they have planned for the future of Guild Wars 2. I really don't. I would rather see some tweaks on the classes we have. I agree. I think putting, like, more effort into, like, reworking and putting stuff on the list of to-do things is more important if you fix stuff that is already existing, because it's less work and it can be very much like feeling the same. If you have a rework that changes a trade line that's completely underused. I don't know, what is a good example? I don't know, there are some trade lines that are just a little bit underused. Oh my god, this Luminary Engagement was instantly Half-Life. Yeah, I think, like, just something that is not like giga meta, and they should just completely rework a trade line or a weapon or something. That would feel like a new class, new weapon, at least a bit, because it's a complete rework. So that's why I think that could be a good middle ground. But who knows? Who knows? Yeah, true range weapon for Elementalist, like, would be good. My big hope is that they introduce Staff as a DPS ranged option, but with the plot twist that you have to have a trait equipped. So imagine, like, on Necromancer. Can I showcase this? Yeah. On Necromancer, you have this trait here. It's called Lingering Curse. And this trait effectively changes your scepter to be a really good weapon. If you don't have this trait, I would say Scepter is somewhat of a B tier weapon, B tier, C tier weapon. But if you have this trait, it becomes an S tier weapon. It really is. It's just such a difference maker. And if you would have this for Elementalist, let's say in the air trade line, yeah? Let's say in the air trade line or the fire trade line, you have a trait that changes your staff skills to lose all healing capabilities, but get instead insane amount of power damage, or not necessarily just number changes, but actually effect changes. For Scepter, it's the same. It does different things than if you don't have the trait equipped. I think that would be awesome, because then you would have a rework of a trait that you just never use or is just bad, and you can opt into being a DPS build, or you can not take the trait and be the still staff support. I think that would be very nice for build crafting and flexibility without having to reinvent a new weapon. I don't know, maybe that's just too much copium here, but it's my hope that they will do that for different classes, different traits. I would like that. Yeah. If you can't catch a Deadeye, be sure to have blocks, reflex, and protection so you can ignore them easily. Yeah, I think that is a way to do it, but I still really hate fighting good Deadeyes. It's just really annoying, because they just always hunt you down and annoy you all the time. Even if they don't kill you, they will annoy you all the time, and that's painful. Stop provoking me, or I will donate. Yeah, I will stop then. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. What's your all-time favorite class? My all-time favorite class is probably I like Elementalists from the elite specs and the fun aspect, but I like Mesmer the most in terms of, like, uniqueness right now. I think that's probably my all-time favorite, because I think we don't really have other MMOs, right now at least, that have this kind of class fantasy. And I think the uniqueness of Mesmer makes it, for me, stand out a bit more than Elementalist. Yeah. If all classes have access to the same concepts, then you will automatically always choose the one with the best utility or DPS. Everything else will fall by the wayside, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to achieve. Yeah, exactly. I think it's like you want to have class uniqueness, class identity. I made a whole video about this topic. I think homogenization is a huge problem in Guild Wars 2 right now, because a lot of classes have access to all the boons, a lot of classes have access to all the DPS, and then you always pick only the one that is absolute perfect. If, for example, Luminary gives a unique buff that is like a small protection buff, that is a unique trait and like class trait. And that would be extremely good if every class has that, and sometimes you pick Ranger because it provides you with a bit more utility because of this unique trait. Then you have Guardian, or Luminary, which has this unique trait. I think that is more interesting than having every class having access to everything and you just pick the one that has like 1k more DPS on the Golem. That is, in my opinion, not ideal. And I hope they will try to do that more frequently. I think they actually try to, yeah. What about a second relic slot? I think second relic slot, that would be very broken, but I would love that. I think that would be awesome. It would be really fun if that would be, like, for example, not a DPS relic. You know, you can choose one DPS relic and you can choose one utility relic. It would be absolutely broken, but it would be so fun. It would be so fun. You could have like so much crazy like build crafting going on with that. I don't know if they will ever do it. It's just power creep at this point then. Is Herald still viable in World vs. World? Yeah, it's viable. It's not the best build though. It's not like top tier. That's true. Good point. Revenant is also unique, yeah. I just feel like Revenant is, for me, as the class fantasy, it's really unique, but the playstyle is a bit too inflexible for me. You know, you are locked into the legends, which means that I'm not as flexible as swapping my utility skills as I want them. That's why it's not top tier for me as my favorite class. Yeah. I played most of the time Mechanist. Yesterday I tried Revenant, Conduit, and it was a blast. How unskilled and sorry brainless meta builds are. You actually nuke people with rushing in one weapon stick and weapon switch. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. Meta builds are meta for a reason. For sure, especially with Conduit right now. Is the gate shot guide still relevant to the current patch? Yes. It is. It is. Nothing really changed. The damage numbers might have changed a tiny bit. But in the long run, you still play the same build, yeah. Yes. I prefer that ArenaNet reworked already existing relics because at least 70% of them are useless. Yeah, I always preach this. I think like reworks to relics, or not only, it doesn't need to be a full rework, you know, just a rebalancing. Yeah, there are like hundreds of relics at this point, or like, yeah, I think it's hundreds. And if you look at them, I think you are right. 70 of them are just not used. But the problem is not necessarily because they have a bad design. The problem is more that they have too low numbers, they have too high cooldowns, stuff like that. You don't need to completely rework every single relic. I think you could just make it so that some of the relics get a numbers buff. Tell me one relic, a single relic that came out since relic were released that was actually buffed. We only had a couple of nerfs. We did not have buffs to a single relic. Relics came out and that's it. I think that's such a sad world to be in, you know? Looking at some relics that are just fun as a concept, but you don't ever use them because they are just too weak. Look at this. Relic of the Scoundrel. This is not a very, so to say, interesting relic by design, but it could on paper be good if the number would be higher. If this would be 20% instead of 10%, maybe people would play it. Or there are so many options, like Relic of the Sorcerer. When you inflict cripple, chill, or immobilize, you also inflict vulnerability. Maybe make it so that it doesn't have an internal cooldown. I don't know, just go crazy with it and maybe it will be broken and you nerf it later again. But just a bit more experimentation, theory crafting, going into relics than just picking a fireworks relic that gives you a damage buff and that's it. I think that would be very like fun and interesting. I agree. I like just, you don't need to rework them. Just make them a bit punchier, a bit more like usable, for sure. Exactly, like exactly with the runes. Like runes were before the rework were also like a lot of them were not good. And now runes are just stat sticks. And I think sigils, runes, relics, they are such a cool, unique mechanic of Guild Wars 2. Or not unique, but it's like a good like experimentation build crafting element. In my opinion, it would be awesome if they would add more runes, more relics. They did that the last time, I think, with like Path of Fire. Pretty sure that was the last time we got new runes and runes and sigils. I think that would be so cool if they add new sigils and stuff like that. I think that would be so fun. And it would not be that in terms, like, that difficult in terms of raw, like, development time, you know, because you can make a rune or relic the same, you know, why not make a rune being a stat stick and a sigil that you could make as a relic, maybe make it instead of the relic, make it a sigil that is a little bit weaker. Who knows? I think that would be very interesting. There are so many levers they couldn't pull to change some things around without having too much development effort. I think that is like a big point for sure. Yeah. I would welcome it if they make a weekend that you can only play core classes in World vs. World. That would be very interesting. I have no clue how that would play out in the long run. If people like that, or if people would play it for one day and then would say, oh, that's horrible, it feels really bad. Very interesting idea. Maybe core event. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 10% on this specific relic, the scoundrel is just like, so much setup for 10% is nothing. Yeah. Yeah, it's so sad. The last armor stat was with EOD. Yeah, exactly. We got it. And I think stats, to be honest, I have to be honest, I can understand stats because we have so many stats and not a lot of them are that useful. I think adding more would not help if they are not broken. But relics and sigils, I think you can add more or change or rework them without breaking the game, making it more interesting, entertaining to build craft at least. Stats, I feel like, is like quite hard to make stats that are not broken and add new ones that are useful. But sigils, why not? You know, why not? There will always be meta in cookie cutters, for sure. I'm not saying that there will not be meta. I'm just saying that if the meta is only a couple of relics and sigils, I think that is somewhat boring. It would be more interesting, way more interesting, if you... Let's get some food up here. It would be way more interesting if you had real choices, you know, like options. At least in competitive modes, make more options. I can see that in PvE, having a 5% damage buff is almost always better than having a utility slot in the relic, for sure. But in competitive modes, I feel like a 5% damage buff should not be the reason that you take a relic. You should take the relic because it has some utility. And even in competitive modes, it's not often the case that you say, yeah, this is a relic that fits my build. Like, my primary example is Relic of the Reaper. That's one of the coolest relics. Sorry for the pun here, I'm really sorry. Is because Relic of the Reaper chills when you use a shout skill. And this is obviously not usable by all the classes, but it's a very, very good idea, very straightforward idea, and it is very good on a Condi Reaper specifically in competitive modes. And I feel like that is a relic that makes sense. It's a relic that changes your playstyle. You want to use something that chills, and then you use more shouts to get more chills, and then you get the bleeding procs from Deathly Chill. I think that is a really cool synergy building relic. It's not broken by design, it's just very good in a specific niche. And if you had like 5 different ones that you could pick in a specific build because they all fit your build to some extent for every class, every build, then it becomes interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Would be a dope to get a PvP Armator Amulet stat and the other healer stat in PvE in World vs. World. I'm 100% with you. I think getting like a healer stat like Sages and Avatars for PvE and World vs. World, and maybe even getting 2 stat gear, so power and ferocity, and not having precision in there. That would, and just more baseline stats. That would be very fun. Like I said, I think they are scared to add more stats because either they are useless or they are broken. For example, 2 stat of being power and ferocity major and nothing minor would make it so that people would probably pick that instead of Dragon's Gear in a lot of cases. and it would lead to higher DPS numbers. And that's why they don't introduce it. Yeah. I would also really like to see some kind of like concentration, healing power, condition damage stat. That would be insane. Then you could play a healer build that is not celestial and still pushes out like crazy DPS numbers because you go, for example, like with like poison damage only builds or something like that. That would be really fun. I'm currently running the old Celestial build just to play it a bit. Yeah, it's a classic old school element, like Celestial Harbinger build, yes. Add a relic only usable for a spec, as example, a relic only on a willbender can use? Maybe, yeah. I mean, that would be a lot of development effort for a single elite spec, but who knows, you know, if it's like well implemented, why not? Why not, yeah. The main problem is, why would I run that? The content doesn't necessitate or facilitate. Imagine you have a boss that actually needs to be blinded. The relic you showed would immediately gain value, but most every fight is just do DPS and some mechanics you can solve without any trait or relic interaction, which in turn means the most basic and boring X% damage buff. Relics will always be best in slot. Exactly, yeah, 100%. And I think that's just sad. You know, that's why I think the biggest mistakes with relics was that they introduced DPS relics. If not a single relic would give you a DPS increase, then you would always have utility relics and you would pick the utility relic that is actually the best utility for your build or for the specific use case. It would give more freedom. But now you have builds always taking DPS relics if you want to deal damage. Like then you already eliminate 50% of the relics because they already are not as like useful for you because they don't increase the damage. 100%. I think that's like, if you make boss design around it, then it gets different. But in a lot of cases, they are scared to make boss design around specific mechanics because they don't want to lock out specific classes that don't have access to specific conditions, specific utilities. Oh my god, I drew it. One of the worst 101s possible. But I think this is a rather short one. Yeah, there we go. Relic of the Reaper is only good because it gets buffed heavily by Reaper traits. Without those traits, it's damn bad. Yeah, I'm not saying it's like a good relic. I'm just saying it's a relic that is like how in this case, the relic that is very niche works very well. If you have more relics like this and they are maybe a bit better on paper as well, then it gets very interesting. Yeah, I still wait for the day they introduce a relic that gives me healing on torment application. Like very small amount, but that would be really fun to use, for example, in buildcraft around it. Stuff like that, you know, just give something that is unique, makes builds very fun, very interesting, and gives some more purpose to relics other than just being a DPS buff. That is my hope. We have to sell starter kit for 1.5k. I would say the starter kit I would buy, and if you don't need it, you can craft the legendary and sell it then, yeah. I think that's worth it, yeah, for sure. Yeah, glad you like the website. Glad you like it, yeah. I put a lot of effort into that one. Yeah, I think like you could make some arguments for saying that Relic of the Thief, Relic of the Guardian should only be usable, or Relic of the like Necromancer should only be usable on classes that like on the elite spec that are the specific class. But the problem is, like looking at Relic of the Thief, that's one of the most basic relics in existence. It just gives you a 5% strike damage buff, like passively almost guaranteed. That is not very interesting. Looking at Relic of like the Necromancer, yeah? Fear you inflict causes foes to move slower. That is a very specific niche ability that works on a Necromancer very well. That's probably the only class that can make use out of that, and even then it's quite bad. So to buff this relic, to make it more interesting, I think it should be movement speed decrease 50%, but maybe make it so that it also, I don't know, increases the fear effects by 50% or something like that, so that you actually have an interesting design on top of that. But then make it so, just an example, if you would give it only to Necromancers, you cannot use that on other classes, maybe, but then make it so that it actually has some functionality as well. So for example, it gives you life force when you fear, like the trait. Yeah, stuff like that. What do we have? Relic of the Mesmer? Doesn't exist. Relic of the Elementalist, I think doesn't exist either. So give those classes the same relics as well. Does Relic of the Guardian exist? No. So they should give every single class a relic then in this case, and maybe make it more unique. Maybe make it so you can use it on all classes, but it gives you life force and it only works on a necromancer. Who knows? Yeah, I'm all up for that. Yeah. I was surprised to see not all the elite specs got a specific relic. Should be quite easy to at least give something that makes sense with the core gameplay. I would agree. I think relics in general, I'm a bit surprised that they did not go a bit harder with the core relics. I think they could have gone in a way that they introduced 3-4 relics maybe each patch, each quarterly patch that is dependent on the expansion. So currently Visions of Eternity, we get 4 Visions of Eternity relics and maybe 2 core relics. And they can slowly fill all the relics that don't exist, like Relic of the Elementalist, Relic of the Guardian. I think that could make sense to do in the future. Maybe they just are scared to add more core options, because that is, every single core option has to be sellable, it has to be like craftable, it doesn't really require any effort put in. Maybe they are scared to put something out like that, but I personally would like that. Yeah. Starter kit is great for a free Gift of Magic and Gift of Might. Yeah, I agree. Starter kit is always great to purchase. Get slowed by a fear is honestly even bad. I love it how far they run away with just one fear. Yeah, I think, like, to be honest, a relic does not have always to be like a positive side all the time. I think a relic can be a negative if it's designed well. So I think a relic doesn't need to always be like perfect, you know? It should be a relic, should be something that you take in a certain situation, and in another situation you don't want it. I think that is definitely like fair. But there are so many relics that could like just need a little bit of like something interesting that makes it better, you know? I don't know. For example, Relic of Saros is a relic that is very interesting concept. It does damage on your lead skill and it converts a boon into a condition, and it's really good in like AoE scenarios in that case, because it's a slow spinning attack and stuff like that. It looks really fancy. If you want to make such a relic more interesting, why not give it, or more like a bit better, make it so that the Relic of Saros, for example, has a, I don't know, 60-second internal cooldown, but you can reset this cooldown by doing X, by doing a specific thing. For example, if you use it and then you use your healing skill after that, you can, for example, reset it or something. Just make some interesting mechanic on that, so that the relic is still the same relic, but it is a bit more interesting to play and use on specific builds. Just mentioning it here, I don't even know if that's a good idea. I'm just saying there could be some ideas for the relics without reworking them completely, just adjusting numbers, just adjusting how they play, how they are used to be more useful than just like, no, I don't use it because it's too weak. Maybe make it more useful for certain builds, more useful for certain situations. That is something that I would like to see. I'm so sad I missed the event where you could get the legendary relic. I mean, it was not really an event, it was more like before it came out, if you crafted any legendary rune, you got the relic for free. So yeah, that was really good back then. That is Celestial Harbinger, yes it is. The second set of Visions of Eternity relics were not that interesting, yeah, I would agree. I wouldn't say they are horrible, but they're not that interesting, yeah. Also, relics would actually be needed to solve mechanics. They would also act like a semi-balance factor by preventing you to take extra damage from... Yeah, I think that is a really cool idea. If you would have specific bosses where you not necessarily need a relic, but at least one of the people that are in the squad can deal with the mechanic because they have this relic. You know, you could make a whole build around it, or you could just use a specific relic, you know? Let's talk again about the Scoundrel relic, because we brought it up earlier. It's a relic that gives you crit chance if you afflict weakness or blind, I think it is. And it's just really weak. But if you had, for example, a specific mechanic on a boss fight where you need to apply blindness to a mob permanently, otherwise it one-shots you. This relic actually suddenly becomes very interesting if the crit chance would be a bit higher maybe. Because then you could play builds like Thief or something that provides a lot of blindness output with a lot of value while still doing the mechanic. Stuff like that would be very interesting, because that would make relics still niche, but at least they get a usefulness at some point, because this is a niche relic that is so niche that it doesn't have a single use case. No one would ever use that. Like 10% is so bad, you would just use Mistburn relic and get more value for like permanently, effectively. That's just like so sad. So yeah, there could be so many mechanics that can interact with things like that. Yes, it's Celestial Harbinger that I'm playing. Celestial Harbinger. Yeah, the legendary relic was for free when it first was announced that there's a legendary relic. They made it for free for people that already had one rune at least. Yes. One of the main points of Fear on Necromancer is hold them at range. Yeah, I'm not saying that this is wrong. I'm 100% correct there. I think like if you take this relic, you would have some kind of melee build on Necromancer that wants to like make enemies not go too far away. I'm with you there, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. They gave it away for free because a lot of people were really upset when they introduced the relic and they already had runes as legendaries, because the runes now are just stat sticks. Before, runes were actually build defining to some extent. You could have runes that Rune of Tormenting healed you on applying Torment. That is like better than every relic in existence right now. So this is something that they removed with the rune update, or the relic update rather. So they made it so that it's like some kind of compensation for people that already have legendary runes to get the legendary relic. It's sad for people that start the game now or played it not back then, because you did not get this for free, but yeah, I mean, it's understandable. They don't want to give legendaries out for free, like all the time. Yeah. Yeah, the old Tormenting rune was like, yeah, that was high tier, you know. That alone made Revenant as a roamer like giga busted. Like Condi Revenant roaming, it doesn't matter Herald or Renegade, whatever. That was insane. Insanely good. But now it's gone. I still hope for the day that it will someday come back. You know, Rune of Tormenting as a relic, just like the bleeding one, the Biomancer one, just with Torment. Oh yes. This one here, like heal yourself, you inflict bleeding or poison on a foe. The same thing for Torment. Oh yes, oh yes. I have so many build ideas. Yeah. Yeah. How to get that mouse cursor? I have a guide about it. You can check it out on my YouTube channel. It's called Blish Hut. It's a Blish Hut add-on. It's legal third-party Guild Wars 2 add-on that gives me the blue mouse cursor. Even when I press both of my mouse buttons, I still see where my mouse is, so I don't get lost in combat, in the heat of combat. Yeah, it's really helpful. Even for me as a veteran, I think it's just really helpful. Yeah. I tested Biomancer a lot. Numbers are way too low in World vs. World. Yeah, I think Biomancer, the problem with Biomancer Relic is that it is very, like, they are really scared with it. Biomancer gives you like 77 healing, and then you have Mist Stranger, which is like the relic that gives you like just healing on hit and doesn't have the conditional condition effect. Therefore, it's just oftentimes just straight up better. Like, there is almost not a single build where I would say Relic of the Mist Stranger is worse than Relic of the Biomancer. So I think the numbers here are not really well tuned. Not saying Mist Stranger Relic is really good and optimal for a lot of builds in competitive modes, but I think that is definitely something, yeah. I would definitely say relics that heal on specific conditions are very cool if they are balanced correctly. And I feel like the Biomancer Relic is too weak. It's not well balanced. Yeah. Snowdrop, I actually have to be honest, like the YouTube comments under my videos, especially under like tier list videos or discussion videos, are unhinged. You know, I at this point I accept it, but I thought about making a compilation video where I showcase every single like crazy, like not even hot take, but like a comment that I would say, okay, this person is like, this is just unhinged. It's just, I'm missing the words to describe what they are thinking. But to be honest, it's completely fine. You know, everyone can write in the comments what they want. If they are civilized, I'm not judging. But I cannot answer to some of the comments. I'm missing the words. I'm just missing the words. How decide if it's irony? Sometimes I just don't know. I just don't know if it's like trolling or if it's like honest. Who knows at this point? Yeah. Comment tier lists? Yeah, you would all be up for it? I mean, it would be fun. It would be fun. I just don't want to offend anybody that actually meant an honest like comment, and I took it as like irony or like just as a joke. Nice. Thanks for boosting my reach with doing that and watching my videos, even though you're not interested too much in all of them, and reading the comments. It helps a lot, of course. I know that. Thanks a lot for supporting there. And I don't know. I think like people like to comment stuff, even if the comment is not really helpful for everybody. That's just how it goes, I guess. I accept that. Comment tier list video coming out tomorrow. I mean, I would have to do like some kind of research. What is the best comment? You know, I have so many comments at this point. It's actually, it's quite, yeah, concerning at some point that how many comments I get to topics that I did not expect to get comments at all, because I thought it's like a cold take if I've ever seen one. But apparently even the coldest takes, people have comments about it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just one good example is, if you don't know what I mean with like comments and hot takes, is like I made recently a Wizard's World tier list. And I think I did a lot of good things with this tier list. I'm pretty happy with it, because I put a lot of effort into calculating how much gold you get roughly per Astral Acclaim and stuff like that. And I did one thing in this tier list that I would say I might have changed after reading the comments. But some people were really aggressive with mentioning this. So I put in the Wizard's Vault, there is one item that is called a Vision Crystal. And I put this into don't buy tier, because I think Vision Crystals are very niche. You don't need them that often. And even if you need them, you can get them quite easily. You should not spend your Wizards coins on it, personally. And I said it's not really worth it. And some people said it is definitely worth it, because it has insane amount of spirit shards requirement for one. So it costs 20 spirit shards for one. So with this argument, it gives you almost 20 gold by purchasing it. But in my opinion, just because something has a high amount of cost to actually get it in the game, doesn't make it useful if you don't need it at all. You know, I don't buy stuff just because it has a value. I buy stuff because it has value to me in a specific use case. I don't know where I would use a Vision Crystal in Modern Guild Wars 2 other than to craft Ascended Gear or a Legendary once. I don't see the use case for most players. So that's just like, for me personally, I think like that there were some unhinged comments about this and really like offending me almost, that I did not put it higher. But yeah, that's just one example. Yeah. Yeah. You just suggest, but what he means is open any random video and check the ones with 1 like. The person self-liked. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think Vision Crystal is like, for normal players, it's not crazy important. Yeah. Tested it on Condi ranges, so I can proc it way easier, but the numbers are so low, I changed to the Relic of Deniers and have more heals. Yeah, exactly. I think Relic of Biomancer is just too low of the numbers. Too low. Legendary Essence of Luck is 100% worth it to buy, so I don't need to make it to the current event for the skins. That's why I put it in subjective tier. Because, for example, I know that Teapot did a tier list and put it in like the lowest tier. And I personally think it's actually not that bad, because it's not that expensive and it gives you the skins from the current event without having to engage with the event. So I think that is actually, in my opinion, I don't need to buy it. But if you want the skins without engaging with the event, I think stuff like that is actually decent to be in the in the Wizard's Vault. I think that's actually decent. That might be a hot take, but I think like the Wizard's Vault should contain things that is like just to avoid some annoyance for some people. Yeah, I think that's good. That is good in my opinion. Yeah, I think that the problem is with the tier lists is that I can make disclaimers very long, I can make disclaimers very short. It doesn't matter. People either don't listen to the disclaimers, people skip the disclaimers, or people ignore the disclaimers and then complain about that my tier list has too much opinion in it. Hello? It's first of all, I always tell you that it's my opinion, and second of all, this is a tier list. It's if you want a breakdown of what is the most, so to say, highest benchmarking build, for example, just go to Snowcrows and check it out there. I don't need to do a tier list about this. So it's like, yeah, it's just unhinged YouTube comments. That's just it in a nutshell. Yeah. I'm new to Guild Wars 2 and about to start Living World Season 1. Do you have a profession that you recommend that can build multiple roles and playstyles? Almost every class can fill every single role very well in PvE. So tell me what class you like the fantasy of, and I can tell you which like builds or stuff you should go for. Every single class is extremely valuable in Guild Wars 2. There is not a single class that is bad. It's really, the balance is really like refined in PvE right now. Buying vision crystals for the odd one-off craft and pretending it holds value that way is like saying you need 250 Opsi shards, therefore you should buy the Wizard's Vault ones, since you could turn the karma you spend on it into gold as well. Yeah, exactly. I think it's like the argument makes sense for exactly one person. The one person that needs a vision crystal right now and doesn't want to farm the spirit shards because they don't have spirit shards. But like all the other people that listen to my tier list would agree with me that the vision crystal is probably like just a bait and you should not waste your asteroid claim there. So it's like, I know, it's fine. I asked for your opinion in the comments, but I think the problem is like a lot of people don't comment themselves, but read the comments for like getting more explanation, getting more input. And then they see comments like this and think my tier list is wrong just because one person really loudly explained why vision crystals are really good. And that gives a wrong input to new players. And I really don't like that. So I try to be like diplomatic and give them an answer that explains why I think it's not like that. Or I just, if they are really offending me, I just ignore them because I don't talk to people that offend me for no reason. So yeah. Yes, it's true. I mean, you know, I can say what I want in a video and people always have ignored the statement and say, yeah, this build is shit without the expansion. I said, yeah, you need the expansion to play this build, or the other way around. It's just, yeah, people apparently don't like to listen to all of what I say in the videos. It's just, yeah, what can I say? It's just how it goes. Guess on a positive note, unhinged comments still boost the video's algorithm 100%. That's why I have my, so to say, dogma of comments is the only comments that I delete, or like the YouTube algorithm or the YouTube comment blocker is actually not allowing, is really like offensive words and like just like if you like have some crazy unhinged words in there, then I delete the comment. But if you tell me that my argument is wrong and it's bad, it's in there, even if I'm not agreeing with it. That's my comments. I don't censor at all. I really don't do anything at all with comments. The only thing that I don't allow is like really hate speech and stuff like that. Yeah. So hopefully that is like a fair point. The same could be said about Clovers. That is a fair point, but the problem is with Clovers that I have here is that Clovers are used in every single legendary. So if you don't care about legendaries, they are useless, sure. But the problem is, I would say almost every single player in Guild Wars 2 at some point wants to make a legendary. There is almost not a single player in the game that says, no, legendaries are not for me. So I'm not saying that everybody has a legendary. That is a different argument. I'm saying that even the newer players at some point are not opposed to having a legendary. You know, a vision crystal is more like you don't need it because you can get ascended gear from 100 different things. And even vision crystals you can get from 100 other different things. So that's just what I think here. Why I think like Clovers are very highly rated because almost everybody needs them at some point. But yeah, that's why I say legendary. If you need legendaries, if you don't craft legendaries, legendary starter kit, legendary the Mystic Clovers, that goes down in value drastically for sure, like almost useless. But it's very rare that people do that. Very rare. Exactly. No gamer words allowed. That's what I wanted. Yeah, exactly. That's what I wanted to say. Exactly, and I think the most important argument about the Wizard's Vault is always that you can purchase every single item in the Wizard's Vault if you play somewhat regularly during a season. Like, because you get so much overflowing Wizard's Vault coins that it's very unrealistic to say you should not purchase the Mystic Clovers because you right now don't want to go for Legendary. Like, Legendaries, even if you don't want to go for Legendary right now, I think it's worthwhile purchasing the Mystic Clovers from the Wizard's Vault, because you can not get any better value at the end of the season anyway, and Mystic Clovers are so valuable and hard to farm that in a lot of cases, even if you currently don't see at all to make a Legendary next year, maybe in 2 years you will want to make a Legendary, maybe in 4 years you want to make a Legendary, it doesn't matter. At some point, if you want to make a Legendary, you will thank me that you purchased the Mystic Clovers. That's my opinion there. I personally don't even buy the Legendary Starter Kit because I don't do core map completion, which is completely fine. I think that is a completely fair argument. That's a bit of a sketchy 1v3, I have to be honest. Because they have so much Condi. Okay, get the Condi transfer. Oh my god. Okay, we have an ally, a semi-ally. it's like a foe of my foe. You know, it's an enemy of my enemy. It has to be good then. They capture it now. We have to contest it. Get this. Okay, we got one. We got one. Can we get the other one? We got two. We got two. I think we got another one. Yes, there we go. Got 3 people. Okay, kill the one in Vengeance. Okay, let's go on this guy now. And capture the camp, hopefully. Nice, there we go. We got the camp because of distortion. Classic Mesmer problem. And get the kill. Nice. Clean. That worked out well. I like it. 1v4 to some extent. Good job. Aren't Clovers even more expensive than Vision Crystals outside of the Wizard's World? Yes. I think like almost everybody in the Guild Wars 2 community would agree that Mystic Clovers in the Wizard's World are insanely valuable and you should purchase them. Yeah. It's not a hot take at all. 100% agree, Lord. Those Clovers add up and you think you have heaps, but then you decide to make one shiny one a day and then it dries your Clovers. Yeah, I think like if you go for a full legendary armor set, you want to get, for example, a new legendary weapon, then it costs so much Clovers. You know, I always try to have, let's check. I always try to have over 100 Clovers ready for the next release. Where is it? Somewhere. Yeah, I have like 142 Clovers and I have all the legendaries, so I always try to have at least 100 Mystic Clovers ready, so when a new release comes out that I have them, because it's one of the most annoying things is to farm Mystic Clovers, because either you have to gamble on the Mystic Forge or you have to really like farm dedicatedly, and so I would rather just keep them and have them all like piling up while I don't need them, and then when I need them I have enough of them. I think it's really like you can run out of them so fast. Yeah. Is it possible to make a legendary weapon purely by playing PvE open world? Yes. Legendary weapon? I mean, yes, you can purchase it from the trading post. So you just farm gold in open world and then purchase it. If you want to craft it yourself, then no, because you need the Gift of Battle, which comes from World vs. World. Exactly. If you play a lot of World vs. World or PvP, you have a high influx of Mystic Clovers. That is true, but not everybody does that. So that's why a lot of people are dry on Mystic Clovers. I need to play 2 hours a week to get every reward in Wizard's World. Listen here, Mr. Streamer. Not everyone has 8 hours to play every day like you. Stop being so toxic. I have 4 wives, 13 kids and 3 dogs, and I'm playing 7 paying 7 mortgages. We are not the same. You don't pay my sub. Exactly. I mean, I don't want to judge anybody. Just saying Wizards Vault is a very generous system, and saying the Wizards Vault is like you cannot compete it is only really the case if you don't actively play the game at all. You know, if you just play like a couple of dailies, maybe get the weeklies every week, you get it easily, like all the important stuff, you know. I purchase almost every single item in the Wizards Vault, with the exception of the obsidian shards and the infinite ones, and maybe the vision crystals. I purchase everything at the end of the season, and I'm still like using the infinite ones for weeks. It's really like you have so much overflowing astral acclaim because of the, how is it called, the special objective. It also gives you like more things. It's really like gives you so much astral acclaim for not a lot of playtime, especially now with the new system of Wizards Vault dailies that is like easier to adjust to your needs. It's really easy. Yeah, but yeah, I think if you want to get really legendary weapons without going into world versus world or PvP at all, you have to purchase them from the trading posts. That's the sad truth. Every single legendary needs gift of battle, except the ones that come like fully equipped, so to say. You can get the Prismatic Champion's Regalia, which is an amulet, not a weapon. You can get that one without going anywhere else than in PvE. And you can get the gloves. Where are they? Ikaisia, however this is pronounced. The fractal gloves, you can get those from fractals, so you don't need to play world versus world. But all the other legendaries need some the battle, the gift of battle. Yeah, that's some people don't like it, but I think there are worse things. You know, you don't have to win world versus world to actually get the gift of battle. You can just like be semi AFK for like 4 to 6 hours and you get the gift of battle. There are worse things. It's annoying, yes, for people that don't like world versus world at all, but it's not like you have to win like 10 ranked matches in PvP, because that can get really challenging if you are bad and hate PvP. Like that can be challenging. So that's that. Yeah, see you, Bean. Have a nice day. I think the only legendary without world versus world is armor. Yeah, that might be true, but the armor thing is like you might not get gift of battle, but they are somewhat dependent on what kind of armor you have. So for example, the raiding armor comes from raids, so you have to invest quite heavily into raids. Then you have the PvP one, which you need from the PvP, a lot of PvP stuff, and then you have the open world one, which needs a lot of map things from the open world Soto maps. And then you have the world versus world one, which is again a lot of world versus world. So yes, they don't need technically gift of battle, but they need a lot of investment in their game mode. So I guess that's fair, because they are somewhat like dedicated to a specific game mode. Yeah. Big question. I play Chronomancer for PvE and PvP. I just came back from a 2-year break. Is this meta, or should I use Virtuoso? So for PvE, Chronomancer is extremely good. You can play it as a DPS, as a healer, as an offensive supporter. Chronomancer is extremely valuable. In PvP, I would say Chronomancer you play decently well. It's like B or A tier. You can actually, if you want, I can play a match of Chronomancer if you want in PvP right now. Was anyway wanting to swap to a different class. So let's play some Chronomancer in PvP then. Shall we? Yeah. Mystic Battle, that's exactly what I wanted to say there. That's what I wanted to say there. I prefer to farm 100 Gift of Battle than doing one map exploration. I can understand that, but some people would do it the exact other way around. You know, some people hate to play world versus world and would rather do some map exploration. I think if that would be tradable, 1-on-1, that would be very interesting. So that you could say, I do a map exploration and I get 2 Gift of Battles or something in that time, if I exchange it, or I do 1 Gift of Battle and can exchange 2 Gift of Battles for map exploration. That would be very interesting. I'm not sure if they ever will do that. Maybe they make it even tradable on the trading posts. Who knows? But interesting concept. Maybe. Yeah. I have in my World versus World raid, some people love to do map exploration and do that on their alts. Yeah, I mean, some people are crazy, and you can farm a lot of like gold with that. You know, one map exploration can go up to 300, 400 gold if you do it correctly, and that's actually good gold per hour if you do it like correctly or fast. So map exploration, the core map exploration specifically in Guild Wars 2 is actually quite rewarding if you do it like decently fast. That is quite cool, to be honest. Yeah. The thing is, I play Chronomancer with non-Greatsword because I love it, but is it even good? So you can play Greatsword Chronomancer, which is completely fine, yeah. It's not bad. And I can also, if you want, I can play with a Greatsword instead of the Spear to showcase a bit more. It is good. Greatsword on Chronomancer is good in PvE, it's good in competitive modes. It might not be a meta build, but it's decently good enough that I would say you don't grief your team. It's like B tier, something like that, 8 to B tier, if I had to put it in a tier list. It's good. So the gift of exploration, you get for one map exploration in core tier, you get 2 gift of explorations, because I don't know, that's just how they designed it. You get 2 of them. Means you can make 2 legendaries out of that. If you get all the materials, account bound and the sellable ones for the legendary, make the legendary, and then sell the legendary, then you get a profit that is, depending on how much you invested and stuff like that, roughly 200 to 400 gold per map exploration. And that's actually really good. Of course, it's some time investment, it's some gold investment and some karma and stuff like that. But if you do it consistently, it's a good way to farm gold. For people that enjoy map exploration, that is. Yeah. Exactly, there's a speed run with like 6 to 7 hours for map exploration, and then you get like 400 gold if you do it correctly. That's good gold per hour. Of course, speed running is like stressful, or like it needs a lot of setup to make it that easily. But I mean, for people that like it, why not? Why not? Yeah, World versus World is like, it's good, you know, it's good. I always like to hear if new people join World versus World to get the legendary and then they actually stick around. Yeah, exactly. Took me forever to finish mine. I made a crypt to sell. Yeah, I have to be honest, I did it way too often, the map exploration of Corteria. Every time I do it, I say this is the last time. And then I see that I can make some profit by doing the exploration, and I still do it. Because it's not like horrible, for me, it's just like something that is not too exciting anymore. So I did it like probably like 10 times or something in the past. So for now, probably not gonna do it that fast and that soon again, but who knows, maybe there comes another legendary out that I have to get. Yeah. You can also sell that to friends or guildmates, you can just 100% trust. Exactly, you can also, so to say, if you have someone that actually sends you all the materials that are tradable, and then you craft it and then you send the legendary back and you get some gold for that, that is also common service that is done. But of course you need to trust the people that send you the stuff, or they need to trust you rather. So that is something that can be done as well. But typically the easiest way, if you want to do it yourself, is just crafting it yourself and then selling it on a trading post or in the Overflow trading post Discord. Works as well. How long does it take to craft a legendary for a casual player? It depends where you start. So if you craft a legendary weapon with the starter kit, so this one. So in the legendary starter kit this time, the Bifrost, Flameseeker, Krydkin and Metrologicus. If you craft any of those, you get pretty much 40% of the legendary already. Pretty much. So if you are a new player and get this legendary starter kit, and then it takes you probably, depending on how fast you go, I would say something between 50 to 200 hours of investment into getting the next legendary, if you're a casual player. Which is not too bad for a legendary item, which you can use on every character and is quite a time investment. If you combine two of those, you can actually get a lot of value, and a lot of times it's even faster. I would say I did it on my Zero to Hero account. I proved this. You can watch all my live streams that I did on my Zero to Hero account, and I did that in 100 hours I got my first legendary starting from scratch. I didn't have a character. I leveled my character normally. I did the map exploration, everything. So in 100 hours it's possible. I needed like 90 or something in the end. So it's not too bad. You just have to, of course, put some effort in. Yeah. I find World vs. World has a similar feel to Drizzlebot, but with extra spicy NPCs and less Griffin on crack. Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, you should play what you like. Some people like Drizzlebot, some people hate Drizzlebot, some people like World vs. World, some people hate it. Play what you like. I think there are so many ways, even for Mystic Clovers nowadays, to get them, that it's actually not too bad, for sure. Legendary from scratch is like 50 to 60 hours, depending on your efficiency. Exactly, Nico. I think if you're a really new player and you just don't know anything about the game, it's unreasonable to say it's 50 hours because you probably don't know how to get the most efficient way. But like I said, I did it in my Zero to Hero account in 90 hours and I leveled my character normally. So I did like events, I did like just the normal stuff to explain how normal leveling works. I did not like, so to say, speedrun it and stuff like that. So it's easily doable in 60 hours as a veteran if you know what you're doing, for sure. Yeah. Want to craft a legendary greatsword? Sadly, it's not available in that kit. Either you wait a bit, or you just accept that it's not there and craft it without the kit. You know, there is, if next season, it might be in there. I don't know the exact season rotation, so I have no clue there, but we will see. You know, patient, either you are patient or you just do it without it. Yeah. Nice, greatsword is still there. Greatsword is still there. Greatsword burst. I hate the dead eye snipes. I hate it. And the cripple, the passive cripple killed me there. I mean, now you're dead. You know, I'm hunting you, my friend. Okay. Ugh. It's too much damage. I need more range here. Need more range. There we go. We got 2 kills out of that. We take it. You can still use it for Gift of Battle or Magic and save 200 gold. Yes, you should get every single legendary starter kit if you can, because it always gives you a little bit of value. And yes, it might not be for the legendary you want right now, but it still gives value for future legendaries. Generation 1, that is. To be a bit careful, I did not play this build in a long time, so let's try it to not greed too hard. I mean, this guy's dead. There we go. I can still take, yeah, exactly. Off-topic question, what is the best medium light armor, boon sharing or world build? Heavy armor has Herald Revenant, but I'm trying to find something similar for each armor class. So for light armor, it's probably Catalyst. It's extremely like strong. You have so many boons that you provide with the sphere from range and stuff like that. It's probably the best that you can get there. It's so fun. Like, people always say, oh, this build is so like annoying to deal with, and then you just burst them down. It's the Todd Evoker. But yeah, I think like Catalyst is extremely good. Harbinger might be very good as well, Quickness Harbinger, because it has a very easy quickness application around it. But I think Catalyst is probably the best in terms of raw boon output as a light armor class. And what else? Oh my god, this guy goes hard. Okay. Okay, Blink Bug. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, what else? What else? For medium armor classes. Spectre is good. What else do we have that is good? Maybe Quickness Untamed? Maybe? Nah, Scrapper is also awesome. Probably Scrapper with super speed and stuff. I would say Quickness Scrapper is probably for open world one of the best ones to take. I would say. I don't know. Another one. Another challenger approaches. Double interrupt with one mantra charge. That's always nice. What are fundamentals when making a build for World vs. World? Depends what kind of like situation, if you're for roaming or surging. But I would say the most important part is to understand what your build wants to be. So you can play a bruiser for roaming, or you can play some kind of burst build. Both of those works. You should always keep that in mind. And if you then understand that, then you can go from there. Oh, another one approaches. I hate the dead eye. I really do. Okay, we got them. Now we have to kill this guy. But yeah, so if you're going for a bruiser build, you want to some healing, some boons in there. You want to, of course, also have some damage in there and some like aggressive like tools while having some defenses. So for example, like blocks or something like that is also awesome. If you go for a Zerg build, you want to know what role you fill in a Zerg. So if you're going, for example, for a healer support, you want to provide stability or healing or Condi Cleanse or all of that at the same time. If you... Nice, welcome Raiders, welcome Vin, welcome. Hope you had a nice stream. And hopefully a nice day in general. Welcome everybody, just playing some Chronomancer in PvP and showcasing that it's not that bad. But yeah, if you're going for Zerging build, that is more of DPS, you want to have as much DPS as possible. It's almost close to a PvE DPS build if you're going for a DPS build in Zergs. Because Zerging really has roles that are like really... I don't have it charged. Nice, we got the rally here. Almost. I wanted to port on them with the teleport and then kill him. Nah, it's fine. We did it. You know some builds that can work in a stealth bomb squad in World vs. World? Oh, there are so many. There are so many that can work there because it's all about just burst damage. Like, there are so many good burst builds out there. Just need to have a full squad of that. Like, it's just having like a lot of bursty DPS, power DPS builds. That's the most important aspect. I would say like Guardian Luminary is really bursty right now. Can play a power berserker if you want to with a greatsword, for example. That works very well. There are so many options. Yeah, I think it's only about the team comp and the players working well together more than the builds itself. Yeah. And if you're like just 5 to 6 people, I would say like getting like 1-2 supports plus 4 DPS builds or something like that would probably be the way to go. Because you really want to play it in a way that the burst is enough to kill people. You know, if you don't have enough like burst for the people to kill like 5 people all at once, then you will definitely struggle to make this work. But if you have enough damage to one-shot like 5 to 10 people, because you have 4 people cleaving at the same space, then it's actually really good. And it should work. Can we get the rest here? I think we can. There we go. We want to get the cap, not that they come back here from this. That's not what we want. Always seeing my burst combo. I mean, now we go in. There we go. We got him. Knocked him off point. No, doesn't work. Interrupt the heal. There we go, we did it. Finally. It took way too long, to be honest. So Chronomancer still works. I'm not the best Chronomancer though, so keep that in mind. What's your opinion? Support Troubadour versus support Chrono in PvP? I think support Troubadour is better. Why? Because I think Chronomancer got nerfed so many times, and it really got hit very hard with the Signet of Illusions nerf. Because in PvP, it only recharges 50% of your shatters, or 50% of the recharge. So if I use it, it gives me like a half recharge. And that's, for Chronomancer, very hard. It hits very hard. And for Troubadour, it still hits hard, but in Troubadour you have the Crescendo, you have other things. So I think Crescendo alone carries Troubadour to be better than support Chronomancer. I think they're both not insane S tier anymore. I think support Paragon is the best support right now, but I personally think it's still like a decent support, even Chronomancer, but it's, I would say oftentimes you definitely notice the nerf so much that you might have a bit of a challenge to carry your group. Yeah. Are your mastery recommendations for End of Dragon still up to date? Yes, exactly the same. Nothing changed. The old expansion mastery guidance is exactly the same, yes. Hope that helps. Okay, if you struggle to finish them, then maybe go for Scrappers or something that can use gyros if you really want to use that. Or other than that, I think like power conduits right now are probably the way to go for insane amount of cleaves and burst damage. Probably that is a good option then for your burst squad, I would say. Which rewards does the daily give? I mean, the daily gives like a couple of Astral Acclaim plus a bit of like instant reward track progress. So it's like in total per day you get like, I don't know, 60 or 65, I don't know, something like that, Astral Acclaim. And if you have PvP and World vs. World setup, you can even get the PvP and World vs. World dailies and weeklies at the same time. That's the cool part. So I just play one match a day if I don't stream PvP, and I have the weekly done as well after a couple of days. That is extremely valuable. So I get like insane amount of Astral Acclaim for in total per week like 2 hours of gameplay. Not even, maybe 1.5. The dailies are really valuable there. Yeah, always happy to help, always happy to help. You think Paragon support would fit our stealth squad? The problem with Paragon support is that in competitive modes, especially in World vs. World, stability is extremely valuable, and Paragon does not provide that much stability. So for Burst Squad, one of the things that can shut you down the most is not having stability. So my ideal Burst Squad combination would be looking like you have one stability provider, probably a Luminary that can have permanent stability for your squad, and then you have some kind of support that does a lot of healing and covers the other boons. So maybe, I don't know, whatever your classes are looking like, and then you take 4 classes that are either all the same or 3 maybe at least, that are really bursty, very melee focused, very like power damage bursts, for example like power conduits or power luminaries, and then you just burst one spot, and then you should be out of stealth, get all the kills. So typically you would have probably maybe some kind of power scrapper for the stealth, and 3 power conduits, and then 1 other healer. And you have like 5 to 6 people in your squad, and then you can hopefully kill them very fast, even if they go down. That's my recommendation. Paragon has the problem that it doesn't provide as much stability. I will queue now for a PvP match and showcase this, but you have really good boon output with some quickness here and here, but you don't have insane amount of stability for allies. Your only stability comes from your Chant of Freedom, as well as your banner here, if you take the banner. And that is just too short-lived in a lot of cases. Yeah. I somewhat like the way World vs. World is right now. When I'm bored to play, I'm running around, capturing and watching anime at the same time. And that's fine, you know. I think World vs. World is for players that like some kind of chill gameplay. I think it's really good then. Yeah, I agree. I think when they change it, it will be harder. I don't know. I think we have to see. Maybe you're right, maybe not. I think I cannot judge how it turns out in the end, because oftentimes changes sound on paper very different than they actually are in reality. I often think the World vs. World changes they seem like to change stuff, and then it's just the same. Oftentimes it's not really doing that much. at least for how it plays. Does Power Troubadour work? Yes, Power Troubadour works. It's a good build. It is, yeah. Each Zerg group needs main stability and second support, third support, and 2 DPS. Yes, but we are talking about small scale. In small scale, you cannot afford to run half of the squad being like supports. If you have like 5 people and 3 of them are supports in a small scale, that's not enough damage to actually kill 10 people at the same time. So if you are small scale, you need more DPS. But yes, you're correct, of course. If you're in a Zerg with like 50 players or something, yeah, you want to have typically 3 supports. Yes. Not saying that for a small scale it cannot work, but I would say for small scale it's better to have more DPS or more, maybe some bruiser builds in there if you want to not like stealth burst them. But yeah. So showcasing some support Paragon here should be an easy match. We have a lot of like nice utility from our allies here. Some boons, some stability, hopefully. Some healing, and I think we get a kill here already. Nice. So they changed in World vs. World how the scoring works, mostly. That's the most important aspect. So how does a team win a matchup? So nowadays, it just works like that if you get a camp, get a keep, and hold it, it will give points every single tick. Yeah, and this will be changed to when you capture it, it gives points, and not when you hold it. So that will be changing how we work, how we play it. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it will stay the same. I'm not completely convinced that this will change how we play, because it heavily depends on the numbers per cap and stuff like that. But I think it might be leading to more of a karma train than it might lead to defending allies camps and stuff like that. But who knows? Who knows? I cannot like see that ahead. We have to wait until we get the patch. It's starting, I think, on 27th of February. So quite soon. Quite soon. It's not even a week, I think, at this point. And it's just a beta at this point. Or not a beta, but it's like a test. They are willing to roll back if all the community really dislikes it. Yeah. Yeah, just some mad roamers, I guess, yeah. Maybe just the roamers are mad, maybe. I don't know, it depends heavily on how it functions. Maybe it's like even helping roaming. I think it heavily depends on the numbers and how they actually implement it. Because they also said like that if it works, they might change the rewards and for skirmishes and winning and stuff like that. That could be very interesting and could actually help roaming back as well, if people like engage with that, if people like the new system. So we have to see. I'm excited nonetheless. I think World vs. World as the cornerstone game modes of Guild Wars 2 is always good to get some updates. Yeah. What do you think about a Chronomancer with glorious armor? What do you recommend? Some armor especially good looking and fit? I have no clue. Maybe someone in chat has an answer to this, but I have no clue about what's good looking and what not. Can we get the rest here? I think we can. Come on. Nice, we did it. Nice, and we got the counter kill. Not good, not bad, not bad. State of World vs. World is very back nowadays, to be honest. Or at least my links. Yeah, the links can make or break the deal. I can understand that. For me as a partner, it's quite nice because I can swap around if there's currently really bad like links going on for this server, then I can just swap around and showcase it. But of course, if you want to play with your guild or are alone and don't have a guild, yeah, that can be a bit painful for sure. Give some stability and super speed to my allies here, and hopefully we can get the kill now. Okay, we got this one. Get some healing. Looks good, looks good. Nice. Skyhammer is almost ours as well. World vs. 1 is one of the most fun times I've had in the game, especially with a good commander. Yeah, I think it really breaks with the team. If you have a good team, if you have a good commander, it's completely different than if you have a bad team. It really changes drastically the enjoyment out of the game mode. I speak from experience here for sure. I think if you go for the Ancora Bellum, or how it's called, Legendary first with the Spear Staff hybrid, it's good value, but it's heavily like the skin, you have to like the skin, and it's very expensive right now. Very expensive. So you should be careful. You should be very careful. I'm not sure if you should don't go for the rest here, I think. Maybe I go for the banner though. No, don't. Those people instantly kill me. They have so much damage. Crazy. I always hope they buff roaming in World vs. World. I agree. That would be really good. Yeah, so it should give you tickets and also for defending or attacking. I think it's just for the scoring. So just for the, like, who wins the skirmish and the whole match. That's the only thing. It's not giving you different rewards right now. So we will have to see how it goes. Let's push into 5 people and see if we can, like, hide them a bit. Okay, I think we survived for now. Let's help our ally here. Let's go for the banner. There we go, got the banner. Some support, more support. Nice. But they got a 3 cap. Oh no. Oh no. Some nice, we interrupted the stealth. Should be a kill now, hopefully. Okay, we have to get the Sky Hammer. Ooh, no, they got a kill, but we might lose our ally here. No, good. It's almost a comeback of them. We cannot let that happen. It's actually a nice close match. Yeah, let's go for the Sky Hammer. Let's see how it goes. I'm patiently waiting for the permanent primers. Yeah, the permanent primers are very interesting. I think that's a really cool, like, addition for raids, and now upcoming with the World vs. World as well. I think that's really cool. Let's see how much it costs. But I'm looking forward to that. I think that's really cool feature for players that play a lot of World vs. World. Barrier healing. Barrier. Okay. Get some healing, more healing. Nice, we got them. Very good. Help the other guy. Very good. While we are on the topic of dailies, it's immensely funny to me that Iceblood Saga 5 and Sport Steel is still equivalent to clearing 2.5 actual raid wings in terms of magnetite shards value. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, very interesting how they balance the magnetite shards. I think it's quite hard for some people that just do the daily clears to get anywhere close to the 800 cap per week. But I'm happy that the daily Iceblood Sagas strike missions are still worthwhile doing, because it is sad to decrease the amount of content you should do or want to do per day. Let's get the benefit. So I think it's good that they did that, but it's still funny to me that, like, some of the actual raids are just not worth as much as you go for, like, the escort of, like, Forge Steel. That's quite crazy for sure. But it's always the case. It's always about balancing stuff that is underplayed, but making it more interesting to new players or players that want to get the currency. You have to find a middle ground where, like, players want to do it, or players are not forced to do it if they don't like it as much. Yeah. I don't know. I think the same goes as we mentioned earlier with the tickets for World vs. World. If they overdo it, then you have just karma trains running around, capping one thing and going to the next and don't caring about defending. If you don't balance it well, then you don't have that many fights anymore. I really think it's really important that you have fights in World vs. World around objectives and not only about capturing it, but also holding it to some extent. We have to see how they will implement it though. Comes all with the rewards to the skirmish, or how the whole match plays out, if this will ever happen. You know, it's still far out to get rewards from just winning a skirmish, because right now you just get rewards from the pip every 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you win or lose the match. Or yeah, exactly. So we will have to see how they implement it. What's the way to do it. I guess I will just hold it here, and it's not a good spot for support to be in, but okay. Oh, another one. Now we have to play it a bit safer. Oh, 3 people. That's probably too late to disengage. I got the hammer. Best stealth ever. A sneaky hammer in downstat against 3 people. Very good. Classic. Classic. High value death. High value. Awesome. That was pretty impressive. I had not have that much like value from a downstat death like that. That was good. Let's get some super speed and stability here. Downstat for the win. Yeah, I mean, I made a video yesterday, and apparently, like, nerfing downstat, you know, that's true. You could see here that even in PvP it matters. Nerfing downstat would have been the correct choice here. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah, hammer time. Sky Hammer is like probably the second worst map if you don't like swings. Like, it's just like Temple that is even more swingy. You know, getting all the buffs in Temple can completely swing the match, but Hammer can also swing the match quite drastically. It's like another node. People are really struggling with understanding when to push it and when to not push it. My ally needs some help. Precasting banner? No, he's invulnerability. Okay, yeah, very good, very good. More healing. Should we banner? No. We are fine. Some healing, very nice. It's a good fight, good team fight here. 3v3, easy win, because we have a support and a DPS luminary here. That's what we like. Nice, clean win. Let's banner both of them to finish it faster. There we go. Very nice. That's what we like. Yeah, Paragon is really good right now in PvP. Really good. Top player healing. How much was it? 40% team healing. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, roaming is in a weird spot. I always mention that, but I think roaming is in a weird spot because roaming is like people that like to roam will roam. People that don't like to roam, they will not like to roam even if the changes come through like that. I don't know. I feel like roaming is just in a weird spot, and I think that will not change even if the rewards are more interesting. Roaming is just not for everybody. It has a lot of downtime. You walk around a lot and you hope to encounter someone, but in a lot of cases that might be 90% of your time you run around and kill NPCs if you're lucky, and only 10% you get like, actual fights. So it's not for everybody, and I think roaming is definitely like, I don't know, I don't want to say it's in a decreasing state, but I personally think it seems like the linking and how the changes work out, I don't see more people roaming. I think it feels more like we get less people roaming. I don't know, it's just how I feel about it. Yeah, but either way, I think that's the end of today's stream. It was really nice. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for all your support. I want to wish you all a very nice weekend. Thanks a lot for watching. Check out my YouTube channel. I have some spicy debates and tiers coming up, of course. And wish you all a very nice day and week. Take care. See you around. See you around.